Magnet. All right, I think we got this going. Holy shnikes. Right before I came on, it was just disaster after disaster. Welcome through, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, folks who may be listening beyond the universe tonight. Let's climb aboard the mothership, secure our tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Plaza on a rocky mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. Ghostess with the mostest, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It is an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to have you here tonight with me. We're going to hang out, we're going to watch some trippy TikToks, and it's going to be a good time, I must insist. If you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, just feel free to look us up, basically, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you want to watch, then just head over to our YouTube, which is We Are Paradox Media. All right. So we're going to zoom on over to our TikTok here. I'm going to have to fix Mr. Gillespie. Because he was talking, it was funny because first it was on Ghost Dad, so I don't know what happened with that because there's no longer an up arrow for that. So let's just go ahead and see what Mr. Gillespie has to say. And it looks pretty good. Oh, wait. Oh, I got to delete it. I don't know why they do that. All right.
I got a couple of new updates on the 3-Eye Atlas, that huge comet or object that's headed towards the Earth. Yeah, that's the one. First, there's a report that some solar radiation hit it, and it didn't affect the 3-Eye Atlas object whatsoever. I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing, if that happens regularly or not. Now the second update, which gets a little stranger. Scientists with a very powerful telescope saw this object in front of the sun. And some people believe that is the 3-Eye Atlas.
What?
When you look closer, that looks pretty weird, whatever it is. Now I'm not sure if that's what that object is or not. But whatever that was, and whatever 3-Eye Atlas really is, it's massive and it's heading towards the Earth.
Wow.
And there's one more update to the story. Now some people are saying it's sending some kind of signals to the Earth. Yeah, some type of signal of some kind. I don't know if it's messages or what. But Elon Musk is quoted as saying that we could be in danger from this thing. I don't know about that, because even if it's not a comet and it's some kind of intelligently made object, that wouldn't necessarily mean that it's hostile. Okay, Bushkis, I want to share this with you. Shabadoo.
This man found a human tooth in his burger. Remember what Putin said about America eating its own people? This is crazy.
So I keep trying to make this video.
Look that word up.
Halfway through, once I start talking about what I need to talk about, the volume goes away. So
they want this message out there.
Let's try this. I just got off of a 10-hour shift where I was on my feet running. Right afterwards, went to the gym. Pushed myself pretty heavy, so naturally after a day of running and then working out, I'm exhausted and hungry. All I wanted to do was get some food before I went home, went to bed, and did it all over again.
Okay.
And I came to Cookout in Gilbertsville, Tennessee, right outside of the Nashville area.
It's a big chain.
And I
Cookout's a big
ordered a tray. I park my car. I get about halfway through my tray. All my cheese curds are gone. Have almost done with my barbecue sandwich. I bite into this. Tooth. It's a chip of a tooth.
A human tooth, maybe?
Threw up my entire meal. You know, that was one of those things. Like, I had my suspicions. Seemed very likely that these fast food chains were doing what they're doing.
You know what that is.
But I've been learning about that. I've been staying away from McDonald's, Wendy's, new ones. Starving, there's nothing open, so I went to cook out.
Be careful, y'all.
It's so good.
I'm sick to my stomach.
Stay weird. This man found a
creepy story that I heard from a truck driver. And you have to understand, this guy was a Vietnam vet. He had seen a lot of things. He was a no-nonsense kind of guy. Like, nothing really scared him. But he said one night he was driving Interstate 50 in Nevada. And he said, he had been driving probably for about 8 to 9 hours at that time. And he was a little tired, but he felt like he could still go for a couple more hours. Well, he said one of the things he noticed as he's driving down the interstate is that there wasn't any other cars. And, he went for miles and didn't see another headlight, which he thought was weird because normally you would at least see one truck go by or another car go by everyone. He didn't see anything. So he started to kind of freak because he said he just realized how alone he really was because there was no houses, just nothing but kind of open desert. So he said all of a sudden, he sees sort of a figure moving in the shoulder of it. So he slows his truck down a little bit, and when he gets closer, he realizes it's this little old lady in a hospital gown, starts shuffling along the side of the shoulder of the interstate. So he said there was this, old trucker rule that if you see someone that needs help, you stop and help them. So he slows down his truck, and when it finally comes down to a stop, he pulls over onto the He grabs a flashlight out of his glove box and gets out of the truck. He starts walking down the interstate and he's yelling, ma'am, are you okay? Hey, ma'am. And he said all of a sudden he started hearing like the sound of feet shuffling, like a ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. And he said it kind of got a little louder. And finally, into his line of sight steps that little old lady. He said she was wearing this hospital gown. She had no shoes on, but she had like some kind of hospital socks. She had gray hair and this sort of pale white face that looked very sickly. So he thought maybe she had escaped from like a nursing home or hospital or something, and that she was very ill and needed to get help. So he looks up real quick to see where the nearest town is, but the closest town is like 50 miles away. Like, how did she get out this far into the desert? So he says, ma'am, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Can I do anything to help? Like, let's get you in my truck and we'll get you somewhere. She doesn't say anything. She just slowly shuffling towards him.
Flesh pedestrian.
He says, ma'am, did you hear me? Like, what's wrong? Like, do you remember anything? She didn't say anything. She's shuffling. And he said he just had this bad feeling that something wasn't right about this woman. And he said as he started to get more and more afraid, all of a sudden, this woman just got this big smile on her face, and she started looking at him, just smiling like an old lady, who was excited about seeing her kids, right? And he said when she got within like 10 feet of him, she all of a sudden reached out her arms like a grandmother trying to embrace her grandchild. And he said right as she did that, his whole body just kind of went limp. He could not move his body at all. And he said he wanted to run back to his truck, but he just couldn't get the movement out. She slowly made her way close with her arms out. And all of a sudden his knees gave out and he falls to the ground and he still can't move.
Oh my gosh.
So when she gets right next to him, she smiles, bends down, grabs his ankles, and starts pulling him along the shoulder of this interstate. And he said he was amazed that this woman had this much strength that she could drag a 275-pound man down the side of the shoulder. And he wanted to move so badly and start kicking and fighting, but he just couldn't move. So in his head, he just like started saying a bunch of different prayers. And finally, like he just got his movement back and he just started kicking as hard as he could to try and get his foot from her grasp. He managed to get free, and he said like all of a sudden she vanished. And so he was trying to like get his composure and kind of rationalize what just happened. So he finally manages to stand up, and as he slowly starts walking back to his trailer, he just sees something running through the dark desert. And so he starts running to his truck. He jumps in the driver's seat. And he said when he went to grab his keys, he looks over and there's that woman sitting in his passenger seat, just smiling at him.
Oh, no,
He
no,
said
no,
all
no.
this, his truck started up by itself.
Oh my God.
And it went into drive and it started driving along the interstate. And he's not controlling at all. The steering wheel, gas pedals, nothing. This truck is driving by itself. And he said it was accelerating faster and faster. And he thought for sure she's going to crash the truck and this is it. And he said the next thing he knows, he like blinks and he's back to driving on the interstate. The lady's not in the truck. She's not in the back. So he said at the nearest truck stop he could find, he stopped, got out of the truck and searched the truck, searched the trailer just to make sure she wasn't in there. And he said when he started walking into the truck stop, this other trucker looked at him and seen sort of how he was very distraught. And he said, "You all right?" And he goes, "Nah, I just seen this old woman on the shoulder." And he like tells him this story. And he goes, "Oh," he said, "you're one of the many truckers that have seen her. We call her the shoulder walker." And a lot of truckers see her late at night walking on that road. This is a creepy story that I heard from a driver. And you have to understand, this guy was a Vietnam vet. He had seen a lot of things.
If it does show,
I gotta be careful how I say this, but remember when Satan took Jesus to the mountaintop and said, "Look, here are all the kingdoms of the world. I offer them to you. You just have to deny God and follow me." Now, Jesus did not take the deal, but do you think that Satan just gave up that day? Said, "Oh, well, couldn't get Jesus, so I guess my plan's shot." Or do you think that he continued to prowl, continued to try to find influential people and offer them the same deal? I mean, this is a spiritual force that needs to get an agenda abroad, which is to deceive the world from Jesus Christ, right? From God, the Father. So, look at the power structures today. Look at the worldly riches, the power structures, the influence, and all the powers. Climb that ladder all the way to the top of all of those things and try to find out who's at the top here. Who looks to me like they've been offered all the kingdoms of the world and have all this power? That's up to you to do all of that research. But I will say this. In the Bible, there is a group that is referred to as the synagogue of Satan, and they're an imposter, right? Now, why are they the synagogue of Satan? Well, think about this, okay? So, Jesus was crucified for telling the truth, right? Coming and exposing the truth. And there is a group who denied him as the Messiah. They say he's a liar. In fact, they would go as far as to say that he was a liar who was born of an adulterous woman, and he practiced black magic, and he is currently boiling in excrement in hell, right? I mean, we're talking about a pure hatred. And to deny the Son is to deny the Father. So the Orthodox belief of this specific group is that Jesus was not the Messiah, but the Messiah is yet to come. And if you look even further and deeper in, you'll realize that that Messiah to come is the exact biblical description of the Antichrist. That's why they are the synagogue of Satan.
yeah. Ready. Sorry, guys.
Whether they think they are in right standing or not. See, when Jesus came, he destroyed that dichotomy of Jew versus Gentile, right? So that no longer exists. So the whole bloodline aspect of Israelites being brought back to the homeland, all of that physicality of temples and circumcision and, all that physicality was destroyed as well. It all became now a spiritual thing. See, when Jesus wasn't a physicality dominant of war, they denied him because they imagined it all to be this carried out prophecy through. It was a spirit thing. You see, so now the chosen and back to the homeland, those right standing is believing in Jesus Christ. That is getting right with God now. I mean, it's so simple. That is why they're the synagogue of Satan. They have denied the Son, they deny the Father. They denied him as Messiah, awaiting the true Messiah, as they say, which that sits in the physical third temple. When the actual third temple isn't by stone, by the boat. It resides all with the temple. Us. Yet there's this massive deception, and Christians are pumping their fists, chanting on literal synagogue of Satan to kill all of these blasphemies that are all rooted in Old Covenant interpretations. It's insane. I gotta be careful.
Video.
What's this?
I had some mandarins like.
Just look
Ugh.
at this. Supposed to. And let me see, and it back up like a. Yeah, y'all need to be careful what you put in your. Well, that's fake fruit. It don't have the stem, it don't have no seeds or.
It should be a crime to a grocery store genetically modified.
Some people believe the
Seriously.
$2 is criminal.
Yeah, the same. Let it down.
Body, with his symbolism found in the words $2.
Rearrange the letters like a game of Scrabble, and two holes hard. If that isn't you, welcome to the club. But people touting this say, well, you see, it means if you go toward the owls, being the naughty, and if you fold the $2 bill a certain way, you can see a very nice looking owl. And then lard means wealth, or it is at a certain time that somehow two owls lard be a statement that subliminally might influence people to join the secret society.
Now we all know that in the occult world, the owl is just Moloch. So if we reach like this, it probably means if you want to get wealthy, you gotta worship Moloch. I'll pet.
Guys, we may have just witnessed history. Yesterday, 22-year-old inventor Julian Brown ran the first ever muscle car on plastiline. His 110-octane gasoline he converted from plastic waste. As the live stream from Atlanta showed, he turned on the car to demonstrate there was no fuel inside. And sure enough, it didn't start. He then filled the car with a canister of plastiline, pressed the button, and the rest is history. Now, to be clear, Julian Brown didn't invent pyrolysis. Converting plastic to fuel is a well-established process that's been around for decades. But he did invent the world's first solar continuous microwave pyrolysis reactor, which fundamentally changes how expensive and renewable this process is. And he did all of this without the backing of large corporations, and he was able to build this in his own backyard with a box of scraps. Now, he says his reason for doing all of this is to send a message to the world that people are no longer going to wait for big corporations or big government to do what needs to be done.
Because this is our world. This is our Earth. And we care and we protect it.
In fact, in May, he even got his plastic diesel scientifically tested, and it passed with flying colors. The lab even went as far to say that Julian diesel had better emissions than regular diesel.
I thought it was surprisingly well distilled. I thought it was surprisingly clean as well for plastic, and it blew my mind that plastic could be redistilled into diesel.
He says his end goal is to get this in the world and where it needs to be.
Let's get it in the world. Let's get it implemented how it needs to be, because that's the whole point of why I started this. And so that's the strive and the move, without a doubt, to get this where it needs to be.
Guys, we...
So China has said when they land, they're going to televise live what they find on the lunar surface, the people of the Earth. My sense, Joe, this will lead to a whole conversation we're going to have here. I think they'll find the archaeological structures that we know are there, that we've seen in the photographs. The inscriptions of those on the structures, we're going to be able to read, because there's a thinking that those structures are from ETs from another time. But the evidence suggests they're from us, from a time in our past, a cycle of civilization where we did great and beautiful things by working together until we destroyed one another through war, and then repeating that cycle again. So when they
Isn't that like drawing a lot of conclusions? Isn't there other possibilities for what happened to them?
Well, this is where I'm going with this. When they see what's on those temple walls, they're going to see inscriptions in languages that we already recognize, and that will be the smoking gun. Like,
why do you think that?
Because this is what the researchers who are working on these projects right now, and they're combining this with so many of what the ancient texts have always told us. And this is where, it gets into a really a kind of a conversation, because it depends on how people interpret these things. I'm excited for it for this reason. This is obviously no ordinary time in the history of our world, and they're pushing for war. We're on the verge of global war. What would it mean if we found on the lunar surface, evidence of us, humans from another time, leaving a message in our own languages, cuneiform, Sanskrit, those kinds of things? It could be one of the most unifying factors right when we're on the precipice of war.
I completely agree, but we have to make a lot of leaps.
So China...
Back on August 15th, 1973,
Atlas
was stunned how powerful this signal was.
So now we got the apparent size for 3i Atlas, and it is 33 billion tons. Oh shit! This thing is freaking huge. It's a lot bigger than what we thought it is. Hi, welcome to The Imperfect. My name is Norman. If you're new to the channel, please consider giving me a follow. It'll mean the world to follow you back as soon as I get a chance. But let's jump back to this. The 3i Atlas. Honestly, at this point, Effie Loeb has put it at a 60% chance that this could be something alien and not just the space rock. But in my opinion, I'm so Atlas out by this point. A lot of the younger boys, the teenagers, they don't even really care. It's not going to scare them, A mothership will not scare them. If you want to talk about fathership, most people are going to zoom out of here, right? What would be honestly scarier than a mothership? A mother-in-law ship. And I'm not joking, that would be frightening. But at this point, as much as I've covered on this, I really hope it does turn out to be something more bizarre than just a space rock. But it's looking 60% chance like this could be something more than just
what you wish for.
Again, my name is Armin. Welcome to The Imperfect. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that follow and I'll follow you back.
Only people with a 4-dimensional consciousness are going to make it through this video. Everybody else, you gotta scroll in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's just us. Most people think they know who the Antichrist is, but they're wrong. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to prove it to you. Before I tell you his name, I want you to guess. Drop it in the comments below, but don't cheat. Because when you finally hear it, it's going to shock you. Here's a clue. This man became the living symbol of one of the most feared spirits in all of religion. To the early Christians, he wasn't just an enemy. He was seen as a satanic person in nature. He hunted them. He tortured them. He beheaded them. He burned them alive. And if that wasn't enough, he demanded to be worshipped as a god. He even stamped his mark on currency. And if you refused it, you couldn't buy or sell. Now, before I tell you his name, you need to understand what a spirit really is. It's not a ghost floating in the air. A spirit is an essence. An essence is a collection of attributes that make something what it truly is. And then there's the word matrix, right? It comes from the Latin word mater, meaning womb. A matrix is a medium or structure in which something develops in. Every essence, every spirit needs a matrix to manifest into physical reality. This is very important. Now, some of you are being impatient. You're thinking, just tell me the name already. But that's a trap. You've been conditioned to want quick answers and never look deeper.
Let's go.
Stay with me because this is going to get super deep. This man was Emperor Nero Caesar of Rome. And why is that important? Because Nero wasn't just another tyrant. He was the physical incarnation of what the book of Revelation calls the beast. Many call the Antichrist. Now, I'm going to leave you with this, okay, before we go any deeper. You have to take Revelation within its context. And the people at the time, the early Christians, they could not say Caesar or Nero Caesar's name. So they had to create code. They used something called gematria, which is the ability to take Hebrew words and pretty much add them up into a value. And the number value for Nero was, you guessed it, 666. So let me leave you with this. The first dimension is forward, back. The second dimension is left and right. That's the flat dimensional thinking people have. Third dimensional thinking adds up to up, down. So that's space, that's depth. But a fourth dimensional thinker can think in time. They understand that there's loops and patterns. We are in a loop into a we have to make a different decision. Go get this book, fams. It's going to break you from that loop. The free audio book is in the link at the top of the page. I love you all. Only people with
During one of those missions, Brigadier General James McDevitt experienced sighting a UFO. What he said he saw was phenomenal. Here is his testimony.
General McDevitt, have you ever seen a UFO?
Yes. During a flight on Gemini 4 in 1965, I saw an object in space fairly close to our spacecraft that I could not identify. It looked to me like maybe the upper stage of another rocket. I tried to take some pictures of it, but unfortunately the pictures did not come out properly. We were never able to identify what it was, and our ground radar tracking data indicated that there shouldn't have been another object anywhere near us at the time.
Here is the radio communication that happened on that day.
Hi, Gemini 7 here, Houston 98. Last clear, 7, go ahead. Black eye. This is Houston, say again, 7. Roger.
Control here, Cap. The rest of that conversation was bogey. Marvin was reported citing the bogey.
Rest of that communication that is not recorded. Roger, could you give us an estimate as to how far that satellite was from you yesterday? I couldn't really tell. It looked like quite a large object, and it looked like it was closing on rather quickly. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are really fast. Can we go back? Okay, pause. Couldn't really tell. It looked like quite a large object, and it looked like I was closing on it rather rapidly. This is rather hard to judge. I'd say 10 miles or so. 10 miles? That's just a guess. I really can't tell. I was close enough where I could see. You were close enough to see what? Arms and cylindrical things sticking out. That is rather odd.
A ghostly warning sometimes. In July of 1989, 16-year-old Sophia rode with her best friend, 19-year-old Kristen, to the beach. They spend the whole day laying on the beach, drinking drinks and eating snacks, talking about boys. Throughout the day, Kristen tells Sophia that she's met this boy whose name is Matthew, and they've been dating for 2 or 3 months, but she doesn't want her family to know because he's a little bit older than her. Kristen had some bruises on her arm, and Sophia asked, "Did he do that to you?" And Kristen said, "Yes, sometimes he gets really angry, but it's not his fault." So Sophia, being the good best friend that she was, tells Kristen, "You know, you go to your parents, your grandparents. You can tell my big brother to kick his ass. Don't let him treat you that way. You deserve better." Kristen responds, "Look, you're a lot younger than me, so you don't understand the situation. I'm pregnant by him, like, we have a relationship. This is serious." Sophia said, "Oh my God, you're pregnant? Why didn't you tell me? You're my best friend." And Kristen said, "Because I don't want nobody to know. You have to keep it a secret." Sophia said, "Well, if he treats you that way, how do you think he's going to treat the baby?" Kristen said, "He would never hurt the baby. He just hits me because he gets jealous. But don't worry, it's fine. Me and the baby are going to be fine. He loves us. So let's just have a good day. Let's not talk about this no more." So around 6 p.m., it's getting dark. So the girls decide they leave. But right when they get to the state line, they see this girl walking on the side of the road. And Kristen says, "I'm going to give her a ride." Sophia said, "We don't know her. She could be a serial killer." Kristen said, "I can leave her out here. She's a young girl." So they pulled over and the girl gets in the back seat. Sophia says, "What's your name?" She says, "Angel." They said, "Where are you going?" She said, "I'm just going right up here, not far." So as they're driving, Sophia and Kristen continue talking about the baby, whether they think it's going to be a boy or a girl. And that's when Angel chimes in and says, "If you and that baby want to live, you better not tell him." Kristen said, "What is wrong with you? Why would you say that?" Angel said, "I'm telling you, his name is Matthew. He is married. And if you know you're pregnant with his child, he will for you." Kristen said, "How did you know his name? Do you know him?" Angel said, "I'm warning you, leave that man alone. He's going to hurt you and your baby." And Sophia was getting really scared because she's wondering, how did she know his name? This is a total stranger they just picked up. Kristen slams on the brakes and says, "You don't know me or my boyfriend. I don't want you in my car. You need to get out. Like, that's messed up." So Angel grabs her bag and she gets out of the back seat. And before she shuts the door, she said, "Kristen, I'm warning you. Leave that man alone. If you want to live and you want to see your baby grow up, don't tell him you're pregnant. Just leave him alone." Kristen said, "Whatever. You don't know me. Don't tell me what to do. Just get out of my car." So Angel got out, slammed the door shut. She took off walking, and Kristen and Sophia left off driving. As they're riding, Sophia starts to get the feeling like maybe Angel knows what she's talking about. She said, "Kristen, look, just give it a month. Wait a month. Don't tell him that you're pregnant. Like, I got a really bad feeling about this." Kristen said, "Oh my God, Sophia, don't start that. We don't even know her. She's a stranger. She's just trying to scare us." Sophia said, "Angel. But how do you know Matthew's name? That's weird. Like, how does she know your boyfriend's name?" And Kristen said, "Maybe she recognized me from school. Maybe she recognized his name. She could be an ex-girlfriend of his who's jealous. I don't know. Maybe it was on PS. Either way, we don't know her like that. She's making it up." Sophia said, "Look, you're my best friend and I love you. I don't want nothing bad to happen to you, so please don't tell him." Kristen said, "I have to. It's his baby." Sophia said, "Well, at least wait a month and then we'll tell him together." Kristen said, "That's fine. Okay, I'll wait a month and then we'll tell him together. That way you can see he's not going to flip out on me. He loves me." So she drops Sophia off at her house and then she goes home. And like 3 days later, Kristen calls Sophia in the middle of the night. She's crying. Sophia said, "Whoa, just calm down. What's going on?" Kristen said, "I told him. I said, go ahead and tell him." And he was so angry. Like, he cussed me out. Then he told me that he's been married for 12 years. I didn't even know he had a wife or a family. Like, I thought he was just living by himself because he never told me he was married. He threw an ashtray at my head. He kicked me out of the car. He refused to take me home. He made it very clear he doesn't want this baby and he doesn't want me. He told me I'd go get rid of it. And then he got the car and he sped off. Sophia said, "Why did you tell him?" "I told you, don't tell him." Kristen said, "We're just in the moment and I felt like I needed to be honest with him, so I did." And Sophia said, "Oh my God, everything Angel said is coming true. She told you he was married and he's married. She told you he was going to hurt you, and he has. Like, this is going to get worse. You need to stay away from him." So a couple days later, Kristen comes and picks Sophia up. They go out to eat, and while they're sitting in the restaurant, they see this red car driving around the parking lot, and it keeps stopping in front of Kristen's car, and it keeps stopping in front of the restaurant door, like trying to look in. Kristen ducks down and says, "That's Matthew and his wife. What are they doing here?" Sophia said, "It looks like they're looking for you. They keep stopping at your car and they're looking in here. They're waiting on us to come out. I'm calling my parents." So Sophia calls her parents and they come to the restaurant, and by the time they get there, the red car is gone. That's when Sophia tells her family everything that's been going on with Kristen, and her family says, "Look, we don't want you riding off with her no more. It's getting dangerous." Mom said she can come to the house and she can stay. "I don't mind, but you cannot leave with her and you are not to go to her house." That next week, Sophia and Kristen went back to school. and things were kind of getting back on track up until that Wednesday. Sophia tried to call Kristen over and over and over and could not get an answer. Sophia tells her parents, "I've tried to call Kristen all day and all night, and I haven't been able to get up to her. Will you please take me to her house?" So Sophia's dad drives her over to Kristen's mom's house. And they see Kristen's mother walking out the door, and they say, "Have you seen Kristen?" And she says, "No, I haven't heard from her since last night. I'm going to file a missing person report right now. Do you want to come with me?" They're together. When they get to the sheriff's department, the police tell them, "You can't file a report because it hasn't been 24 hours yet." Kristen's mom said, "I don't give a damn. She's a 19-year-old girl out there by herself. She's pregnant. We need to find her." Sophia said, "That's not all. She's pregnant by a married man, Matthew, and him and his wife have been following her around town. We saw the other day." The sheriff said, "Wait, Kristen's pregnant by Matthew blank? That Matthew?" Sophia said, "Yeah, what about it?" The sheriff said, "Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to file a missing person report. Y'all just go on home and I'll let you know what I find out." And the sheriff left to go over to Matthew's house and talk to him. When the sheriff got to Matthew's house, Matthew and his wife were not home. And the sheriff was shining his light out on the driveway, the pavement, and he saw spots of blood, and he knew right then this was not good. The sheriff dispatched a few units to go out and look for Matthew's car, his wife's car, and Kristen's car, but nobody could find them. It wasn't until the next morning around 10 a.m. that a police unit found Kristen in a grocery store parking lot. Her purse was in the car, her hat and mittens were in the seat, there was blood on the door handle, and the sheriff knew right then this was not good. Something bad happened. So Sophia goes home and tells her parents all about it. They went to the beach, they picked up this girl and warned Kristen that she better stop messing with him. Sophia said, "I just wish she would have listened. I just knew something bad was going to happen. Like after that girl told us that, something in my gut told me this guy was bad news. I ain't never even met him." Her dad said, "Look, don't be like that. Let's just keep the hope and keep praying that she comes home, and hopefully she will." But Sophia knew in her gut Kristen was already dead by this point, and she was right. 2 days later, a hunter was out walking along the woods across the state line when he found this what looked like a shallow grave. So he kicks the leaves off the top of it, and that's when he sees a nose, and it was Kristen. Matthew and his wife were arrested, and they confessed to the police that Matthew had murdered Kristen, and his wife helped him cover up the evidence. Matthew was sentenced to 60 years in prison, and his wife got 20 years in prison. To this day, Sophia says she still thinks about Angel and the way she warned Kristen, and it came true. I don't know, but it sounds to me like she got a warning from beyond the grave, or maybe that was her guardian angel. I'm a believer. I think there are certain beings or spirits that are sent to us to warn us, and whether we listen or not is our choice. A ghostly warning.
We live in an age where war itself has become a
This is so sad.
stage. Not just fought with weapons, but performed through optics. Think about it. Every time a building is struck in Gaza, the footage is waiting. The camera is already set. The angle is perfect.
Isn't that weird?
The timing is there. It doesn't feel accidental. It feels produced. Now, I'm not saying suffering isn't real. The bombs are real. The loss is real. But the way it's presented to us, the way the story is packaged, that deserves a second look, I think. Take Greta Thunberg. She's often framed as the lone voice of conscience. But people forget, she was invited to Davos, placed on the stage of the World Economic Forum before world leaders. That's not an accident. It's a fucking network. And the World Economic Forum is not just a club of random activists. It's a platform where governments, corporations, and political actors sit together, including Israel. The same circles that shape economic policy, media narratives, even climate messaging. So, when a flotilla heads towards Gaza, cameras rolling from both sides, one from the activists, one from the military, and the exchange plays out in a neat soundbite, I have to wonder, are we watching Resistance truly? Or are we watching it in a much larger production? Notice how perfectly it fits with the news cycle? Charlie Kirk fades from the headlines, another spectacle takes its place. The baton is passed smoothly, as if there is a script somewhere ensuring the public never looks away, never looks inward, never asks deeper question. Now, I'm not here to tell you who's right or wrong. I'm asking something simpler. How much of what we see is spontaneous, and how much is stage managed by networks that thrive on attention? Because in a world of perfect optics, the real battle isn't land or sea. It's our fucking perception. And maybe the most important question we can ask is, Who's holding the camera and who benefits when we watch? Right? We live in an age.
He actually used the words a trillion real estate collapse in Florida. And essentially he based this on the fact that even now it's extremely hard to get insurance and coverage for homes in Florida. I live in Florida, and it's super expensive. Just because the storms have gotten bad, the flooding's gotten bad, the cost of homes is so high. If they had to replace a home, it's incredibly high. Everything's so high. And the risk of flooding is higher. And he said basically we're going to have these like super storms, and that's going to make it so much worse. And then with the flooding, he thinks basically everything from like Fort Myers down, which includes, you know, obviously all of Miami and everything, will be underwater. And those people have to migrate somewhere. And they're not going to migrate to other parts of Florida because Florida's going to have this systemic collapse in the housing industry, the real estate industry, because of the fact that, you know, the homes are uninsurable and it's not going to make sense to live there anymore. So the people, as their homes get wiped out, they're not going to rebuild, they're going to move. And a lot of times they can't rebuild because the area is going to be literally underwater. This is all according to the data, not me. Don't yell at me. I live in Florida. I'm not like wanting this to happen, but this is what his data. So that's migration one. And it's not just Florida. He talks about California. He talks about the Northeast. I mean, think about, look where New York City is, guys. I mean, you could throw a rock and hit the ocean. You're talking about some of the most concentrated population centers in all of the country are right on the water. So that's not good. So there's going to be a migration inward from the coastal areas.
Remember this name, Prometheus. Prometheus.
Didn't you fly too
Now,
close to the
Prometheus
sun?
was a computer, an AI built for CERN. It was built in so that CERN would not do anything wrong. Basically a safeguard for CERN. And those of you who don't know what CERN is, please go look it up, CERN. Must be living under a rock. July 12th, just outside of Switzerland, is where the Hadron Collider is. CERN is. That's when they decided to smash these particles together. They were looking for what's called the God particle. So they did this. Now, Prometheus never ever gave them any warning signs ever. But guess what? This time it did. They didn't give it after. Prometheus actually gave them a warning sign seconds before they even smashed it together. Because he knew, or the computer knew. Really strange is in the 80s or 90s, I was watching the History Channel and I'm like, damn, I hope I'm alive to see this. They're going to smash these particles together. They're going to find the God particle, right? So Prometheus, remember, he's the AI. He's built to protect CERN from doing anything wrong, like I said. It gave them a warning sign seconds prior. And it's actually said, reality, state, violations, stop. Reality, state, violations, stop. Well, they wanted to get that Nobel Peace Prize, you know? They were so into that. And guess what? They got it. They got the Nobel Peace Prize. Great, on our backs. Changing reality as we know it. And it's finally been proven. So all these Mandela effects and all this crazy shit that's been going on, now we know why. If you don't know Mandela effect and you live under a rock, go look it up. After they did this, people were being quarantined, fired, let go, no longer with us, etc. Look at their little ceremonies and stuff. That's a little nuts in itself. So if you want to look this up, go to CERN AI. That's CERN AI, and it's on YouTube. CERN AI. Now, there's other proof, documentation out there too. If you want to find that, I'm sure you can find that in government documentation. There's a Hadron Collider looking for the God particle. It's been being built since the 80s, 90s. It's been damn eating. I was so fascinated about it. And now look what it did. It changed our parallel universe, and that's why we have all the Mandela effects, and that's why all this crazy shit. And people being under a rock, like I said, don't understand this. The normal people, because they don't read, they don't look things up, they just go through life in one lane, like this. And they don't look left and look right. They just believe CNN and move on. Don't be like one of them. And if you have to do anything, always do your research. always. Of course, the Mandela effects. Yeah, that's why we've been having that. But there's so much more than just the Mandela effects. Have you been seeing what's been going on? Am I the only one? Remember this?
So what happened to all the astronauts that went to Zeta Reticuli? Like, what happened to them to this day?
Well, they're all dead now.
Right.
The ones that came back, they were suffering from radiation sickness, cancer of the skin or lungs or other types of cancers. One lived. The last one to live was actually the team commander. He lived for a number of years, but he died about 6 or 7 years ago. And he was the one that spoke at the private UFO convention. Wendell Stevens got him to speak at it.
What was his name?
McKeever. His last name was McKeever. And he was an amazing speaker. He spoke from the heart. He really, really valued the Ebens. I mean, they were so tender-hearted. They were compassionate. He saw them all in their best. He never saw them in their worst. Even when our team members got so upset with certain other things that were occurring, that there were confrontations between the Americans and the Ebens, never got upset. There was always a mediation. They always tried to, let's just settle this down. You're our guests here, and they always gave in. He said almost every time they gave in to the Americans. Not every time, like when they wanted to visit the structure of the homes of no, that's not going to happen. and they wanted him not to go in there. And one tried, and he was escorted out. And, please don't do that anymore. But they visited their industrial center. There was an industrial center not in this village, but some distance away. And all their industry was in an area maybe 10 or 12 miles. They made the food, they made the aircrafts, they made the anything that they needed was made in this industrial complex.
Did they grow their food or 3D print it or maybe make it by some other modality?
I don't remember. I think they grew most of it, and there was some canning. There was a facility they used to make other food. The food lacked taste. The first thing they ran out when they started eating the food was salt and pepper, and I think they took some other stuff with them, Tabasco sauce, probably because that was in the sea rations even back then.
Right.
But they ran all that because the food didn't have any taste. But they developed a way. They, ingenuity. While they were up in the northern part of the plant, they found a plant they could chew on, and it was mint flavored. Well, they asked the Ebens, "Is this good?" And Ebens said, "Yeah, it won't hurt you." And Ebens made something out of it. So they were, and they figured, and then they determined that if they heated it, it would taste differently. So they made their own spices, basically.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was the main accomplishment of the U.S. government to do this project?
I think it was to obtain technology, advanced technology from the Ebens are 5,000 years ahead of us. So, we could learn a lot from the Ebens. The problem is they were teaching us, but it was so far advanced that we just couldn't understand it. Like the commander told a story about going in to a school, and they had schools, and trying to teach art algebra to the Eben kids. And of course, it's root to them. They didn't understand what we're trying to say. But almost every one of them realized what they were doing. You're trying to teach us math. So then they even started teaching us their math, which was more advanced, different symbols and things. But we, especially the scientists on the team, grasping it. Oh my gosh, yes, I can understand this now. I can understand this now. And here are these scientists that have doctorate degrees are going back to grade school or whatever school, whatever grade the Ebens are learning in, and learning their math, and learning their culture, and learning their alphabet.
If they were so advanced, you say 5,000 years more advanced than we are, why were they doing things like growing their own food, just replicating it? I mean, they're cloning bodies. Obviously, they're probably cloning food.
I don't know that they answer that question. That's they're different races of creatures from another planet. So very difficult to compare. And one of the things the commander says, it told his crew, is we have to forget what we did on planet Earth and forget the customs, the procedures, the courtesies we did. This is a new world. We have to learn their way of doing it. And so, their way is maybe in technology more advanced, but in other areas, maybe it's less advanced. And another thing they did that the commander, I remember reading about, was toilets. They would save their wastes. And at a certain, now their days were 36 hours. At a certain time, it would be a vehicle that would come up and collect all the waste. And they could never figure out whether it was being used for fertilizer or whether it was being recycled some way. Were they using it in some? They could never figure this out because they even allow them to go to the industrial complex. They went there to view it, but they only went there once or twice. And when they moved up north, it was so far away they couldn't get to it. But they don't know why they did that.
Did they collect the humans' waste too at the time?
They collected the human waste too. That's the next thing I was going to tell you. They would come down and ask for our waste, and I guess the commander said, "Yeah, you can have it." And there was, and another thing the Ebens did was they made toilets that were different than they had for the crew, which were more like American toilets than the Eben toilets. And the commander says, "How do they know what our toilets are like? They must have been visiting Earth a lot. I mean, they must have been in houses, human houses, to see that we have a toilet like this." It's amazing.
So what happened?
Hello. And goodbye. All right, boys and girls, it's time for our first music break. On this break, we have Miss McKaylin Hayes, and she's going to be singing Nothing But Blood, Collapse, and Close. And then we have Mr. Fred Johnson III from Canyon County, California, with Sugar. And McKaylin Hay, if you didn't know, is from Ontario, Canada. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
There's too much sky, too blue, too white. The birds on the wire are singing, but I don't know why. Why aren't the roses hanging their heads? They're standing straight up, blooming instead. Now that we're apart, there's nothing but blood in my heart. Why does that guy have a smile on his face? Why is the sun even shining today? Why are the headlines talking about love? Don't they all know what happened to us? Now that we're apart, there's nothing but blood in my heart. there's nothing. Now that we're apart, there's nothing but blood in my heart. Blood in my heart. Where'd you go? You're running away. I know that it ain't easy. I see you're losing your mind. You're pushing away. Yeah, it's a mistake. Yeah, it's a making me check my phone to see if you called. I know I'll get nothing at all. I carry the weight of both you and me. I'm starting to break. I wish you could see what you're doing to me. What you do. Yeah, we're going too fast, 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 fast. Gonna put off the gas, 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 gas. Yeah, we're gonna crash. How is this gonna last when we always collapse? Yeah, we're going too fast, 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 fast. Get your foot off the gas, 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 gas. Yeah, we're gonna crash. How is this gonna last when we always collapse? Stop, 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 stop. When we always collapse. When we always collapse. Throw me off of my game again. Never thought I would bend. You're making me soft. I'm starting to slip. You don't give a shit. It's starting to hurt. I can't keep my grip. Yeah. Oh, I can see the end begin. I can see. Yo, we're going too fast, 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 fast. Get your foot off the gas, 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 gas. Yeah, we're gonna crash. How is this gonna last when we always collapse? Stop, 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 stop. Yeah, we're going too fast, 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 fast. Get your foot off the gas, 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 gas. Yeah, we're gonna crash. How is this gonna last when we always collapse? Stop, 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 stop. When we always collapse. Oh, I can see the end begin. When we always collapse. Oh, I can see the end begin. Saw you for the first time in a while, in a while. You seemed so surprised. I worked out a smile, out a smile. 'Cause I've grown and I've changed. Yeah, we went separate ways. How come we're both back here? 'Cause you pushed me away, let my life feel away. But still we're both back here. trying to make me lose all control. All control. I should know when I need to let myself go. So let go. Close to me, I want you close to me. I can see that you wanted me. Follow me, baby, just follow me. Trust me, baby, trust me. I'm not the same. I'm not the same. I'm not the same person anymore. I'm not the same. I'm not the same. I'm not the same. I want you close to me. I want you close to me. I can see that you wanted me. Follow me, baby, just follow me. Trust me, baby, trust me. See that you wanna be. Follow me, baby, just follow me. Trust me, baby.
Waiting here on this cold, lonely night without you. The tension overbearing. Wondering, are you coming back home again? To inspire fires with love. Where did our love go wrong? My sugar. Why did I make you cry? Whispers flow through my mind when I think about you. That warm feeling. My heart sings a sad song and just melts away. Please look into my eyes, my sugar. There's life in out there. Until the sun doesn't shine anymore, I'll be there. When time is our memory, I'll know this love. You will always be the one, my sugar. The feeling is strong. Waiting here on this cold, lonely night without you. Where did our love go wrong, my sugar?
Welcome back, Weapon Crew. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we have been watching some very interesting and quite trippy TikToks. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there, so thanks for joining me. I'm so excited to have you here. All right, let's clock back in there. Gotta clock back into these TikToks. All right, let's see what you got to say. We do not care.
Hello and welcome to all new and existing members of the We Do Not Care Club. I started this club for all women in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. We are putting the world on notice and simply just do not care much.
The following witness account comes from a woman with a handle name of Micaiah B. Slayan. Now you have to listen to this in its entirety because it is mind-blowing. It all centers around her daughter. When she was about 2 years old, she started recollecting and talking about her past lives and the things that she was saying and what she told her mother. A 2-year-old wouldn't have known. As she has gotten older, she has confirmed that her daughter has grown up and no longer remembers what she told her mom or her past lives. But it makes you wonder, is reincarnation real? Are past lives a real thing? Take a look, listen to what she has to say, comment below, tell me what you think.
My daughter just turned 2, and one day I was taking her somewhere, and I put her in a seat, and we headed out, and she got very melancholy sad all of a sudden, and she's looking out the window, and she goes, I miss my parents. And I was like, girl, what do you mean? I'm like, right here. And I go, oh, because daddy's at work? You miss daddy? And she got very serious, and she goes, no, I miss my parents. First, I was like, excuse me. But second, I was like, that's a really weird thing to say, because a 2-year-old saying parent, we just say mommy and daddy. Said, oh, I'm your parent, especially since she's only 2. So that was a really weird terminology to choose. So I said, hey, you're having really big feelings right now. Do you want to talk about it? And so what I gathered from that conversation is that she lost her parents and she lost her sister. And then she said, and then I was an orphan. A 2-year-old said those exact words. And then I was an orphan. I'm like, where did you learn that word? So that was like my first inkling and sign, like maybe she is telling the truth, because I've never taught her that word. So years go by, and each time she would go through really sad days where we would be doing something and maybe it brought back a memory, or she'd have like a glazed look on her face and recollection would come back, and she would tell me about it. And so what I was able to gather basically is that she lived during a playtime, and her town got knocked out. She lost a lot of neighbors in her family. Her mom died first, and then her dad died, and then it was just her and her little sister for a while, and then her little sister died, and then she was all alone. And that makes sense now, because this kid now, she needs to be around. She is a living room kid. She wants to always be around someone. She wants someone to play with. She likes companionship. She hates being alone. It's the biggest thing. What I was able to gather about the plague situation is I don't think it was an earlier plague. I think it was a later plague, because one day we were driving by and this house had a bunch of old tractors in the yard for show. And we were driving by a very, very old one, and she pointed at it, and she goes, my granddaddy used to have that tractor. And I was taken aback, because, no, my dad did not own a tractor, so no, your granddaddy did not. So years go by, fast forward to 3 years old. One day I'm putting her shoes on her, and she was like, Mommy, I picked you. And I was like, what do you mean you picked me? And she says, they showed me you guys, and I got to choose you. They showed me what my life would be, and I chose you guys. I wanted to be with you guys. And I didn't know she meant by they or them. And, the way she talked about it, it seemed like a higher spirit of some sort, And so I said, oh, you mean, and we never had this conversation before. So I said, oh, you mean God? Like, God, you chose me with God? And she goes, oh, sure, yeah, God. I was just trying to draw a parallel, because she kept saying they and them. She also talked about Jesus without ever being taught about Jesus, so that was also another thing. So fast forward to 4 years old, she's going to preschool. We decided to sign her up for this preschool tied to a church because she was taking interest in religion, and we were the kind of parents who wanted our children to choose what they wanted to be. We did not want to shove anything down their throat. We wanted them to be who they wanted to be. So anyways, we signed her up for this. That happened to be a mistake because one day I pick her up. She said, "Mom, I need to talk to you about something I learned today." And I said, "Okay, go for it." And she says, "My teacher today told me that marriage is between a man and a woman. Is that true? Because where I'm from, it doesn't matter." I'm like, "Girl, what do you mean?" I'm like, where are you from? For context, my sister is married to a woman, and so I'm never going to teach my daughter hate of any kind or any of that. So I basically told her, and I hadn't had that conversation with her yet either about my sister, because it's just, I'm going to let her come to me. I'm not going to bring anything up that doesn't need to be up. Anyways, I say, girl, you love whoever you want to love. As long as they're not hurting you and you're not hurting them, I will support you, and you love whoever you want to love. And that's just how it is in our house. So that was probably one of our last big events with her, and she was 4 at that time. So from 2 to 4, she had really talked a lot about a past life, and there was just moments that would trigger it for her. Me and my mom were walking into Walgreens with my daughter, and we went and we picked up some things, and we got in line. And this Indian man from India, he just got this big look of recollection and like loving look, and he said, "My old friend." He's like, "Where have you been?" And me and my mom were like looking at each other. And he was like, "My soul recognizes her soul. Can I say hello?" And me and my mom were like taken aback. I was like, sure. And so he said, "How have you been? It looks like life's been doing well. I'm so happy for you. And I hope you have a blessed life." And that was it. And she just gave him a big smile, and she wrapped her hands around this man's neck and gave him the biggest hug that she had known him. And I got her, like, she was a social person, but she wasn't going to hug someone. So then that's when me and my mom were both like, wow, this is like legit. And so that was just like one of the other events that happened that was pretty big. And yeah, but I don't even know, like I said, I don't know if that tied into the past life that I told you guys about. But it was just strange. He just turned her, then turned back around, and turned back around really fast. And his eyes just like knew her. It was so strange. And she just knew him. And it was just a moment in history. And then we both went about our lives. Yeah, it was crazy. Oh, and my mom
we clear about who Charlie Kirk was.
I wanted to hear that last part. Sorry, guys.
We should be clear.
Oh my
The
gosh.
following witness account comes from a woman with.
Yes, you know, hold on. I messed it up.
He's like, "We were schoolmates in India." And then we're just like stunned. I forgot to add that part.
We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions.
If you're going to call someone else's rhetoric ignorant, shouldn't you make sure your rhetoric is ignorant? The Civil Rights Act didn't give Black Americans the right to vote. The 15th Amendment did that a century earlier. Then the Voting Rights Act in 1965 removed the barriers that states were still using to block Black people. But here's the deeper problem. AOC is attacking straw man. Straw manning is when you twist someone's argument into a weaker version than that instead of what they actually said. It's a logical fallacy. And it's what caused people to think Charlie Kirk is a racist. Here was his actual point.
You said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so the parts of the Rights Act were great, but the way it's now implemented to force men to female bathrooms, to push forward of the trans agenda, the intent of the Civil Rights Act is way beyond what it was originally authored for.
But the intent specifically originally...
Well, that's interesting. So the intent and the law are two different things. So the intent was noble, which would say that no American can be not allowed into a place of business on the color of their skin or their ethnic heritage. Totally agreement with that. That's not what the law only did. It created a massive anti-racist DEI army that then goes affirmative action.
I could do this all day because Charlie made this argument many times. Charlie supported the Civil Rights Act's intention to protect Black Americans from discrimination. His argument was that law left loopholes, which are now being twisted to justify men and women's sports or racial discrimination in college admissions. AOC didn't just push this strong once. She repeated it in emails. She pushed it on social media. And she was online when she sent those. 30 seconds with AI could have told her the context. All she had to do was ask, I heard Charlie said X. What's the context? Or what are the strongest arguments for and against this claim? That's how you steal an argument. That's how you avoid straw manning. You can disagree with Charlie without misrepresenting the past. Lies got him killed. And if this doesn't stop, he won't be the last. I bust myths like this on my free newsletter. It's where I show you not just what the lies are, but how they work, so that you...
Breaking news, a jaw-dropping video has just hit the web, showing an ordinary Indian woman holding what she claims is a boogosphere connected to a flying saucer craft in her backyard. Her story is mind-blowing. She thinks it was made back in the day by an ancient civilization who somehow combined their own knowledge with alien tech.
And you know what's tripping me out? Like, people are just touching this stuff. You know, how many cases have there been where people get cancer, radiation poisoning, etc., from even being near a spacecraft? I don't understand.
Could this be genuine? We don't know for sure. There's one thing we do. Everyone's talking about this. What do you think it is? Is this a prank that's gotten way out of hand, or a real artifact from a long-lost civilization touched by ancient aliens? This one's got the internet on edge, and...
Pretty intricate. But those guys don't know that. I don't know about these.
Breaking.
So a controversial topic in Appalachian lore and stories is that of the feral people. Now, some people believe that there are feral people living in Appalachia, in the Appalachian Mountains, and some people think it's a bunch of bullshit. Now, there's no solid proof that there are feral people in mountains, but let's go back to the story of Dennis Martin. Dennis Martin was a 6-year-old who was away for a family weekend, Father's Day weekend. This was back in the 1960s. And so him and his family went on a hike. It started around Cave Cove, which is an area of the Greater Smoky Mountains. Dennis, along with his brother, I believe, and his grandfather and his father, went hiking. They hiked from Cades Cove to Russell Field and then ended up camping there overnight. They ended up hiking to Spence Field, where they met up with another family with young boys who were also with last name Martin. It was late in the afternoon, and the boys decided to play a prank on the adults. Dennis was wearing a bright red shirt, and their goal was to hide and then pop out to scare the adults. See, the adults knew what was happening, and they watched 3 of the boys go one way and Dennis Martin go the opposite way. Now, the three boys played their prank. Everything was all good. But then when Dennis didn't pop out to scare anybody, his father was wondering where he went. He went looking for him. He hadn't been out of state for more than 5 minutes, but as his father was looking for him, the search turned frantic. They combed the entire area, everybody in their party, looking for Dennis Martin, who was nowhere found. His dad eventually got out to the park rangers a little bit after 9 p.m. At that point, it had been raining a lot. The ground was soaked, and the temperature was dipping into the 50s. When they went to search the next day, there was heavy fog, 2.5 inches of rain, conditions that just made it very difficult to go looking for, but everybody still searched. Over the next few weeks, the search party grew almost too big. There were Boy Scouts that came there. There was a group of Green Berets that came, National Guard, everybody coming to look for this little boy. There were even helicopters. With so many people stomping through the muddy terrain, that pretty much made any kind of footprint, clue, scent, whatever, it's going to disappear in all of that foot traffic. They had seen what they thought was a footprint from an Oxford shoe that he had on, but figured that it was probably from one of the Boy Scouts that was looking. There was then an odd testimony from a family. The family that was in Tennessee looking for wildlife, several miles from where Dennis went missing. This family had no idea that a boy was missing, and when they saw it on the news and heard about it, that's when the father ended up calling and saying that during that time he had heard a scream in the woods and saw figures running. At first they thought maybe it was a bear because the Smoky Mountains is filled with bears, but then later determined that it was just a disheveled man. What we're being led to believe from some is that it was a feral person, but police, everybody kind of discredited this. They were like, there's no way that this would have gotten snatched and that fast gone several miles over to where these people were at. Many people think that he was snatched and taken by somebody, possibly feral mountain people. Even Dennis's father thought that he was kidnapped and at one point was offering a reward. Like I said, many people had theories of what they think could have taken Dennis, and they thought that it was feral men. These people that lived in the mountains lived off the land and apparently snatched cattle, livestock, and children in the middle of the night. There's many videos on YouTube of people who sound credible, that think that these types of people really exist, that they've lived in the mountains for so long without basic human connection to the outside world that they're almost more beasts than men at this point, even having their own language that they speak to each other. And they say that they're also cannibals. These wild men could be descendants of mountain people that went deep into the forest before it became a national park. Tribes that operate outside of society. Needless to say, Dennis Martin was never found. I'm thinking that maybe an animal got him, or, he got lost and eventually, succumbed to the elements of being in a national park. Like I said, there are bears all throughout there, but the idea that there could be feral, cannibalistic men in mountains is a little bit unnerving.
You want to talk about a conspiracy? What about a double conspiracy, triple, quadruple conspiracy? What's an event that just recently changed the world? Charlie Kirk, right? He was a part of Turning Point, and I do believe language matters here. So what turning point did I see upon this? Well, I did notice this. A censorship of a certain topic seems to have been now lifted, where I'm scrolling and my feed is showing days and days worth of criticism of a certain people. Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, mainstream content creators, are now covering the criticism of this people. It's almost as if they want us to now know what's going on, as if they need us to rise against them, as if it's a part of their prophecy or something. Wait, all nations will rise against it. Whoa, hey, hold on a second. So what if that's the whole idea behind this turning point? What if this entire plan was a double, triple conspiracy because they need us to rise up and they need to create a certain terrorist organization in order to carry out their prophetic plans? Because in the end, from their perspective, all nations rise against, and God helps wipe out everybody besides them. Who has major nuclear control right now? Wait a minute. You want to talk about a conspiracy?
Holy! This is one of the most insane things I have ever read. Scientists are now growing mini human brains to power computers. And this whole thing is creepy as hell. Now, for starters, you know, in regular computers, we call it hardware. Well, the scientists in Switzerland that are currently carrying this out, they're calling theirs wetware. Bro, what? Oh, and it gets even creepier because these labs buy human skin cells from anonymous donors in Japan, and then through a series of highly complex processes and several months of growing, they turn those human skin cells into clusters of neurons they are calling organoids. I'm sorry, the naming is wild. Now, the organoids are these little white orbs that are essentially lab-grown mini human brains. Now, they're much less complex than the ones in our heads, but they have the exact same building blocks. The scientists then attach these electrodes to these mini brains, and they can send and receive signals from them, which they read on a regular computer screen. Now, currently, they're very simple. It's just little signals here and there, but they want to get these mini brains to the point where they are essentially biocomputers and they can learn, adapt, get smarter, perform tasks, kind of like AI, but the AI doesn't mimic our brains. It's our brains. Because of that, these little mini brains are unpredictable, and the scientists themselves have admitted that they still don't understand what the organoids do and why. Now, here is the eeriest part, because regular computers, they stop working, don't they? But biocomputers, they literally die. So the scientists say they can survive for up to 4 months, but before they die, they observe a flurry of activity from the organoids, which is very similar to the increased heart rate and brain activity which is seen in some humans at the end of life. Ain't no way. So, yeah, guys, the future is holy. This is the most insane thing.
Oh my gosh. You will not believe this. The Antichrist may have already come. No, in fact, he has. Crowned, dressed in white, and worshipped worldwide. Do you know who this man is? Because when you find out, you'll understand that the world already ended. Comment below if you think you know. But I'm telling you, you have no idea. Don't cheat. Most people are still waiting for the Antichrist, waiting for the white horseman, but what if he already came dressed in white, crowned with a holy title, claiming divine authority to conquer the world? This isn't myth. This isn't just prophecy. I'm giving you abstract history. One decree written in 1455 claimed to give European elites the divine right to erase nations, conquer and enslave the world. Ominous Pontifex. And this was the man who signed it. He was the Pope who claimed he had the right to claim the globe and the earth as the representative of Christ on earth. Revelation says the first horseman wears a crown, carries a bow with no arrow, and he rides out to conquer. Many thought that this was Christ, but that's ironic because it describes the Antichrist. The white horseman isn't Christ, but the impostor, or what some would call the Antichrist who killed Christ. The Romans, who took Christ's story, rebranded it, and turned it into an empire. The Romans again, but this time, it wasn't called an empire. It was called church. You gotta understand that the spirit is not a ghost. The spirit is an essence, and an essence is a collection of attributes that make something what it is. What are the attributes of the white horseman? claims to be the Antichrist, bring in salvation, but actually bring conquest, war, conquering, enslavement. The Roman Empire didn't die, it converted. The white robes replaced red flags, the cross replaced the sword, and in that name, they took land and stole people and rewrote history. You still think this is symbolism? Family, these are the signed papers, the papal bull, issued like law, blessed by popes, carried out by kings, backed by the Vatican. Then they created the doctrine of discovery. It is a legal foundation for conquered lands to this day. So what do you call it when the elites of a population less than 5% of the earth, less than 10% of the earth, take over 80% of the world, claiming to come in the image of Christ? You call it revelation. You call it the white horseman. So who was this? Pope Nicholas and Pope Alexander were the popes who did this. But many of you still don't believe. So I'm going to ask you to do this. Comment the name of the first slave ship below. This book goes much deeper into all of this than I could ever do right now. It is a free book, or the audiobook is free, and the link at the top of the
3i Atlas has just been captured from Mars's surface, right? From the Perseverance rover mission on October 4th. And they captured this lighted tic-tac looking thing in the sky, mate. And it's sending people mental, bruv. Hence the tinfoil armor on my head. So this is on NASA's website. I'll leave the links down below so you guys can observe, right? So the light bargain type object, at the moment, the Perseverance rover was a long exposure shot. Now, if we get the mathematics about the whole object itself here, okay, during the long exposure, it kind of tracked the object and made it stretch out and appear as a light bulb, right? Now it's about to get weird as fuck, bruv. Oh, UFOs around the world, Matt, lovely Matthew, okay, has been observing some of the activity with this. So he observed Dobsonian power on YouTube, watching this object in real time with.
Wasn't it funny how the government shut down, so therefore NASA and other things that are government funded are not filming or doing anything like that? Last I heard. How convenient.
His very, very powerful telescope he has at home, right? Now, Matt timestamped this video at the 1 hour 10 mark, right? And 3i Atlas parked over Mars, and it doesn't move. It's just hanging out over Mars. I know it's a perception thing. The angle we're at I'm like we said, but he probably thinks, and we think it's probably moved now, but it was parked over Mars. And NASA is down right now, still not updating us about what's going on. So tinfoil hat time is in full swing, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, 3i Atlas has just been captured from Mars's surface.
This is probably the scariest case to come out of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, this one is personal to me because I actually worked on this case. Now, I had a friend who lived in North Carolina, and he was a paranormal investigator. He reaches out to me one day and is like, hey, it's this weird case, and, I'm kind of stumped. Like, could you help me with it? Apparently, there was a Native American family who lived on the reservation, and they had a daughter who was like 16 or 17. And at the time, she was getting dropped off from a friend's house.
Sorry, guys, I need to add
her parents' home. Well, her friend drops her off, and she said when she got out of the car, she had to walk down this like bumpy, gravelly, muddy road. Really? And she said as she's walking down this gravel road, and right next to her, is the woods, she sees this man standing on the side of the road. And she said he had this black hat on, a black cloak, and she said she couldn't really see his face at the time because it was turned. She said as she walked a little closer to him, he turned his face, and she said he had no nose, but these solid red eyes, and he was just staring at her. Well, she said, she walked as fast as she could to the house, and this man began following her. So she runs inside her house, and she's like screaming, crying at this time. Her dad's like, what's going on? Like, why are you crying? And she said, there's this man out there in a hat, and like he was funny. So her dad runs out of the house and just starts looking at this guy. He doesn't find anyone. He doesn't see anything. And he's like, you sure that we got there? And she's like, yeah, I seen him like he was on the road. And he was like, followed me to the house. Creepy. So a couple weeks pass, and they start noticing that their daughter is awake at night from having these terrible dreams, that she is seeing this man in her room. And not only that, she is waking up with these scratches all over her. In the next coming months, there was something banging on the windows, banging on the doors, right? They could hear scratching sounds coming from the roof all night long. Except the father would go and investigate and try to figure out what was going on. He couldn't find it. And then one night, the daughter is having like this terrible nightmare, and the mother in the other room, she hears this going on. So she walks over to her bedroom, which the door is halfway open. She looks in. She said she could see a man standing next to her bed with this hat and this cloak on. She goes in her room, she flies, and she said it was gone. And not only this thing was, attacking, this girl was attacking their home. It had left scratch marks on the truck, on the home. There were claw mark footprints all around the home. These are real pictures from some of the damage that it was causing and the scratch marks that it left on this girl. Now, I started looking into this case and I started researching what we come to know today as Hat Man.
You're going to show the pictures.
And as I got deeper into this case, I started to notice weird things were happening to me. Like, I lived in Chicago at the time, and one night I'm asleep, and I just remember it was 3 a.m. I wake up to the sound of a scream, and I've never heard anything like that before. So I immediately jump up. I think someone's in the house. What's going on? I searched my entire home. There was no one there. The doors were locked. The windows were closed. So as I'm getting in bed, I walk past the living room, and as I turn, sitting in a lazy boy recliner is what looks like a man in a hat, just rocking. And I look again, he's on, but I could see movement of the chair, and that's obviously had bumped it or had been sitting in it. And that like sent chills down my back. And I immediately like went into the bedroom, closed the door. And mysteriously, as this started, it just stopped. And to me, what I thought personally was this was a case of the Hat Man. This is probably.
Hey guys, so we got a bit of break.
2 of my kids, I believe, have seen him. Once here right in front of my office door, and then my oldest daughter's house for a while there in Ignacio. It's crazy. We had to go do some cleansing over there.
This is coming from Disclosure on X.com, who's a very good, reliable source of information related to UAP. I'll give you my thoughts, what I think is going on here once I read this, but I'm going to read it to you, and you'll see it pop up right now. Breaking. The Department of Energy has all access to all classified files tied to Immaculate Constellation, UAP, and NHI, an alleged Pentagon program holding decades of UAP evidence, HD videos, debris, even reverse engineering at Wright Pat. A contractor working for the Department of Energy claims they received an urgent email demanding access to classified files tagged Immaculate Constellation, UAP, or non-human intelligence. If true, this is an active attempt to erase records before Congress can act. Insiders say the program holds thousands of high-resolution videos and images collected since 1991. Spheres, tic-tacs, triangles, even organic-looking craft that defy physics. Whistleblowers allege crash recoveries and reverse engineering at Wright Pat Air Force Base. This is nuts. Under the 1954 Atomic Energy Act, DOE can lock away anything tied to nuclear secrets, including UAP encounters in nuclear sites. That means no FOIA, no oversight, no public access. Ex-Pentagon analyst Matthew Brown stumbled across this in 2018. Journalist Michael Schellenberger reported it in 2023. By November 2024, Representative Nancy Mace submitted a 12-page document on it during a hearing. Elizondo and Grush have both signaled it's real. This isn't just about UFOs, it's about accountability. If true, unelected officials may be hiding world-changing tech, energy, propulsion, or worse, from Congress and the public. If the purge is happening now, evidence could vanish before we ever see it. They are not moving these files. They're probably destroying them. Oh dear. So before I read the next bit, the thing I find fascinating about this is I think that we're over the target. I think that's why they're doing this right now. It's been a lot of momentum with this issue, as you guys know, and I think a lot of people are getting a lot more interest in this subject. With the recent hearing, we saw big mainstream media groups, BBC, posting the video of the Reaper drone filming the UAP being shot by a Hellfire missile. So the fact that even BBC are posting these things, I think you've got to start paying attention.
Yeah.
Now, what really caught my attention here was this FOIA issue, or not FOIA issue, actually. It's more to do with what they can classify as nuclear or near nuclear sites. So if the term near nuclear sites is posted in the legal jargon, near could be 6 miles, 6 meters, 6 kilometers, 6,000 miles could be near nuclear sites. So there's no discrepancy or speculation on that, right? Which is where I think that the legal sort of gatekeepers and stuff are very careful with their wording. But let me read this, and this is directly from this blow that claims he worked for the DOE as a contractor. So I work DOE, just got a request for UAP material. It says, "Hi everyone, I'm active in this community, but I'm using an obfuscated account for this. I work as a contractor for DOE, and I'm in charge of maintaining classified records for my area. This morning, I received a request from DOE to turn over any classified records, videos, or photos pertaining to these 3 keywords: immaculate constellation, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, non-human intelligence. For clarification, DOE sent this email to the entire enterprise. So anyone maintaining records in any area is supposed to comply with this request." Yeah, they're trying to clean up shop because the DOE is complicit in all of this, as I've said many times before, and effectively is kind of like the brain and the brain stem when it comes to organizing crash retrieval and various other things. They've been at the forefront from the very beginning, since its conception, you know. And I think we just need to be very well aware of what's happening here, and I think that it's pretty obvious that we are over the target. The rhetoric hasn't died down. People are still very interested in this because people are coming with the receipts. If it wasn't for Wilson showing that video, I don't think we would have this kind of traction right now. I don't think we would have this much interest, and I think it's getting more people involved in the topic. The only way we can get over this is by speaking to our local representatives in the states, of course, and demanding what is going on 3111, which is the new version of SA 2610, which was written by the now minority Senate leader Chuck Schumer and co-sponsored by Mike Rounds. Look, this is a prime example of them running for the hills. We are on target, and they're like, crap, we need to move this away immediately. People are too interested. So the fact that those 3 words, immaculate constellation, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, and human intelligence are keywords, and anything associated with that has to be destroyed, proves my point exactly. So it's time for subpoena. It's time for POTUS to start subpoenaing these people, and we need to get these people quick before they get rid of all the information. This isn't right. They have, as I've said before, this is not a privilege. This is a right for us to know. If these are real, we need to know about it. It's part of life. And they don't get to say what we can't see. This is not right. In any way, shape, or form, it's not right. Anyway, I want us to know that this is actively happening now, and we've got to protest this. We've got to let people know that this is going on as we speak. You heard it first from DA. Thanks very much. Hey guys, so we've got breaking news.
Big love to everybody that's here, everybody that's been here.
Well, EBA 2, as far as I know, is still here. He's still out at Area 51 now. As of 1991, he was. Now, I don't know where he's at now.
Did they ever mention their lifespan?
They have a long lifespan, about 700 to 800 years. Well, we found out that according to the even time frame, they could live 600 or 700 years in even time. Now, I don't know if anybody actually sat down and figured out what that is in human time, but they can live a long time.
Now with Project Serpo becoming public, do you believe this is a soft disclosure?
Well, Serpo became public a long time ago, and there's been a lot of controversy about that ever since. And one particular Air Force general said it's hogwash, it never happened. Well, another government employee came forth and said it happened, but there were only 3 astronauts that went. So there's controversy, and I think the DIA is the controversy in there for the disclosure aspect of it. We don't know was there 3 or were there 12? Did they, did they actually go, or was it some sort of a major plot to condition the public for a future disclosure? I mean, there's a lot of questions about Project Serpo that has never been answered. There's a lot of conjectures here and there. There's a lot of misinformation here and there spread by people writing books about it that don't really know the truth. But the truth, if you go back and look at the documents, you're gonna be fascinated by the details that this commander put in there, and some of the things he's describing, you can't be here on Earth and describe some of this stuff that he's describing. So even the best science fiction writer couldn't write a Project Circle book.
Right.
I mean, this stuff is as real as it can get.
When you were in the basement reading that document that you were privy to, did it state how many astronauts in that document went?
12.
12.
To women.
And to the best of your knowledge, that was an official OSI document.
Absolutely. It was and the headquarters number was numbered. It was document was headquarters. It was the action report for it. They had an initial report that was dated in 1965. That was preparation report. It was counterintelligence operation. And then the 1980 report was a debrief and an after action report. They came back in 77. But by the time they interviewed everybody, got all the facts, the report is numbered in 1980. The first two numbers of the report is the year.
Right.
So it's 80, headquarters D 839-2. And that's the number of the report.
Where did they return in 1977? Where was that meeting spot?
Actually, they came back to Tonopah, a place called Wellington. It's an area, an old mining camp on Tonopah, on a test range. They have a very secretive, it's naturally enclosed like a coliseum, and they landed inside that. And I'm sure they had safeguards, satellites, and so forth. That's where they landed in 1977.
So in your mind, would you say Project Serpo was a 100% legitimate program?
I wouldn't say 100%. I'd say it was probably, I'd say 80%. There's still some questions about the numbers that went.
Sure.
Even though the official report said there were 12.
Right.
There were other people who were associated with this that have since died, but said, no, we only sent 3. So, that's, and there's some of the equipment that was taken. There was conjecture about, no, we didn't take that. We took this. And it was in the official report, they took a atomic demolition munition with them, a small atom bomb. It's just a 1 kiloton, but they took, the other guy said, no, we didn't take any atom bombs with us. Mm-hmm. So
there's a little bit of back
a little back and forth. But overall, I think we had an exchange program. Right. How many went? How many came back? I don't know. Well, EBA 2, as far as I know, is still here. He's still out at Area 51 now. As of 1991, he was.
Sorry, guys, I lost you. What the hell? We can see you, we just can't hear you. We can't hear you, buddy. Come on. Cheese and crackers.
In printout records.
Hi, guys.
Fucking hell, apparently the 3i Atlas comment could have been what sent the wow signal back in 1977. In 1977, the Ohio State University Big Ear Radio Telescope received an unusually strong narrowband radio signal, leading to widespread excitement about the possibility of having encountered evidence of life beyond Earth. At the time, astronomer Jeremy Enham spotted the highly unusual outburst in printout records. unearthing the major radio band Fluxion with the word wow. He wrote wow, which is why it's known as the wow signal. It lasted for nearly 72 seconds, this signal, and has never, ever been heard of since. It literally was a signal, very strong.
Sorry, guys. Trying to get this back online. Cheese and crackers. All right. It got a little glitchy. Oh, StreamYard. TikTok. It's definitely not going to be the same video that we were just watching. Oh, and I also have to go down here and reshare. Yay. And then we got to remember to mute that screen, otherwise it will echo. Mute. All right, we got that. Now we're just waiting for pop-up videos. Says we're connected to Century Stink. Let's go. Ugh. Where are we at on this anyways? 1:55. Well, let's go ahead and go to our second music break since we're there. So on this music break, we have, once again, Miss Michaela Hay from Ontario, Canada, and she will be singing Pins and Needles, Devil You Know, and Mirror. And then we have Mr. Fred Johnson III with After Dark. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Talking on pins and needles, every word through a microscope. You keep stomping down on the ground while I've been stuck on this tightrope. I just wanna say what I wanna say without your sentence. I'm not willing to do the time when I'm innocent, and I'm innocent. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. Walked on my share of thin ice with your blowtorch at my feet. You won't ever see me beg, so take this gun off your leash. I'm gonna say what I wanna say, don't need permission. Interpret it how you want, it's my decision. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. glass kicking the pieces all around. My safety has been broken, this is now a hunting ground. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, 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 up. I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, 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 up. I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, 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 up. I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, 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 up. Your troubled heart bleeds like a river. It's rushing towards fields painted greener. It doesn't see the demons behind, praying you're getting close to the line, so they can get their hands on love and trade it off for silver. The curtain's nice, but what it hides is worse than sticks and stones. Before you climb the fence tonight, look through the microscope. Better the devil you know. 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 Your nervous mind is crawling with shivers. You're standing right in the eye of a blizzard. You're inches from a shelter, so near to warmth of a home in a chandelier, shining down its light on love, wishing you'd be closer. The curtain's nice, but what it hides is worse than sticks and stones. Before you climb the fence tonight, look through the microscope. Better the devil you know. 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 Before you climb the fence tonight, look through the microscope. Better the devil you know. 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 a scar, scar, scar. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. Try to erase the ink that's left upon my chest. I'll attest, I don't really wanna forget to forget you. You taught me how to turn a blind eye. I showed you how to keep a shoulder cold. No one walked away without a scar, scar, scar. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. You taught me how to turn a blind eye. I showed you how to keep a shoulder cold. No one walked away without a scar, scar, scar. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror.
My driver pulls up in my limousine, ready to take me anywhere I want to be. I said, I want to go. Take me to a college scene. I'd like to go and dance, have drinks, and hunt the perfect date. Yeah. Living at the door, I search lonely streets to find hidden shadows in the dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Secret homicides arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say, after dark, I gave her base because she had the range. I knew she was the one that never could go home again. Plastic light by limo seats. I don't know why I can't control this urge to hurt again. Yeah. Living at the door, I search lonely streets to find hidden shadows in the dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Jesus is the murder forever after. No matter what I say, after dark. Really ran to repugnant and fear. In hiding place with days of December. Concerning works were meshed in the bandage. It doesn't matter what I say. It really doesn't. No matter what I say, after dark. doesn't matter what I say. Secret homicides arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say, it's in the stuff, murder forever after. It doesn't matter what I say. Rude and fatal, lacking the hint of conscience. No matter what I say, after dark.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It's been pretty good so far. We had a couple internet glitches last hour, but hopefully it's fixed. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So we're going to mosey back on over to TikTok and hope that this sticks. For sure. Keep your fingers, toes, hairs, eyes, and fingers, toes, hairs. Yep, keep all those crossed.
The ghost on Halloween night and didn't even know it until years later. Story time. The story was sent in by Mark L. from New York. So this all started Halloween night of 1988. I was 8 years old and we were living in the South. I'm not going to name what state. I was really excited this Halloween because it was the first time I was allowed to go trick-or-treating alone with my older brother without parental supervision. Because our family was so poor, my older brother and I spent the day making me a homemade zombie costume, and when we finished, we left to go trick-or-treating. Everything was fine. We got a lot of candy up until about dark. That was when things began to get really weird. To get to the other side of the street to get more candy, we have to walk down this long dark alley and hop a fence. So as we're walking down the alley, we start hearing this cling, 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 cling sound, and when we turn around, we see a little boy dressed up as a cowboy following us. He looked 5 or 6 years old, and he was very pale. He was wearing a cowboy hat, cowboy boots with spurs, and holding a bow and arrow with a bag of arrows on his back. His eyes were milky white like the dead. We thought he had in contacts. My brother even complimented how cool his contacts looked and asked where he got them, but the kid never answered. He was also covered in big bruises. He had a black eye, a bruise on his cheek, finger-like marks around his neck, and big bruises on his arms. But me being just a kid, I was thinking, wow, someone done a great job on his makeup. He really looks like a dead cowboy. So my older brother, being the cool guy that he is, asked the little boy if he wanted to walk with us because we didn't want to leave this little kid all alone on Halloween, but he never answered. He just started following behind us. My brother asked him multiple times, what's your name? How old are you? Who are your parents? What street do you live on? But the child never answered. He just kept walking. At one point, these older kids jump out to scare us like what today's kids call a jump scare, and that's when this little boy grabbed my hand, and his hand was ice cold. I mean, it felt like he had frostbite, but I didn't let go because I knew he was scared. And his hand never warmed up. Even though he had a tight grip, it remained ice cold throughout the night. By now, we've been walking for at least 2.5, 3 hours, and it's about 10 o'clock at night. We knew we had to get home or our parents were going to freak out. So we asked the little boy again, where do you live? We'll take you home, but he doesn't answer. He let go of my hand, looked at me and my brother and said, thank you, and then he walked off into the darkness. My brother took off running behind him, but he wasn't there. It was like he vanished behind the dumpsters. Needless to say, my brother and I were freaked out, so we took off running, and when we got home, we started eating candy and kept talking about how weird the situation was. Recently, a friend of mine started a true crime podcast where they covered cases of children that were abused, neglected, or murdered by their parents. My friend who does the podcast will sometimes pay me to do the research before a video, and I shit you not, while researching a case, I found that little boy's picture in a newspaper. I immediately recognized his picture and found out this little boy was murdered by his mom's new boyfriend in the early 80s, 3 years before we saw him on Halloween. Now, we couldn't find too many details about the child's case, no police report nor autopsy, but we did find 2 newspaper clippings about his murder. Mother originally lived in an apartment right down the road from where we were trick-or-treating. She meets this man and moves him in within a month, and within a second month of him living there, he murders her only son. So the mom goes to work, and about an hour later, she gets a call from her boyfriend saying that her 5-year-old son is not breathing. So she tells him to call 911, but he doesn't. She rushes home, and that's where she finds her 5-year-old son. He had bruises around his neck. He had been
Oh, wow. Come on.
In the newspaper, it stated where the injuries were, and they were exact same injuries that the little boy from Halloween night had. So I found his obituary where a grandparent stated he was obsessed with playing cowboys and robbers and was buried with a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, and his bow and arrow. He died at 12:05 a.m. on October 31st. He died within 5 minutes of his favorite holiday. Rest in peace, little cowboy. Also, we found out that the mom's boyfriend only received 8 years in prison for murdering her son. Shocker. That's how it always goes, ain't it? We did a background check on the boyfriend's name, and we found out he was murdered in one of the weirdest ways possible after he was released from prison. Get this. Really? When the mom's boyfriend got out of prison, she took him back and moved him back in their son that they had had together. That youngest son, he accidentally the boyfriend in the forehead. 6 months after the boyfriend died, the mother was found at the bottom of the staircase in the same apartment complex where the boyfriend had murdered the child years prior. The cops could not exactly figure out what happened, but it looked like she'd been shot in the leg and fell down the staircase and died. So me and my friend gathered up all this information and I sent it to my older brother, and when he saw it, his jaw dropped. When I showed him the black and white picture of the little boy, he said, "That's him. That's the little boy that walked around with us on Halloween night." It's almost Halloween. That means it's time for scary Halloween stories, and I'm so excited. I held hands with a ghost.
Heck yeah, me too.
Internet threw a hissy fit this week, so I came to wipe their snotty little noses with the dollar bills they made me. Welcome to Suck on This, where I read mean comments from the internet. Why you flexing your Japan trips like anyone cares? Well, apparently at least one person cared enough to comment about it. Your tea ain't even good. For real, I could buy Lipton cheaper. Lipton is cheaper. You stay begging on Patreon, LOL, embarrassing. Embarrassing would be ignoring revenue opportunities. This is called strategy. Stop acting famous, you not him. Fame isn't acting, it's showing up on your phone screen without having to audition. This whole clapback thing just makes you look pressed. Pressed looks great when it's on merch and trending reels. You post way too much, bro. Desperate for views. Posting works. Your view and comment is proof of that. Gold star, pumpkin butt. All you do is self-promote. Self-promotion works. It's literally the reason you're here right now. Your whole vampire thing is cringe. Nobody's impressed. Cringe must be contagious, because you just caught it scrolling through my feed. This look is ridiculous. Nobody takes you serious. Good, if they did, we'd all be stuck with your taste. Doing this series just makes you look hurt and bitter. Hurt? I'm having the time of my life. This series feeds my followers, fuels my bank account, and keeps you glued to the screen. Bitter never tasted so sweet. Nobody asked for another video from you. Nobody asked for your comment either, yet here you are. We're both overachieving. Gold star, pumpkin butt. Your outfit looks like a thrift store had a seizure. My thrift store chic still outdressed your imagination. Your live streams feel like watching paint dry. Well, sweet pea, my paint dries into a paycheck. The series just proved you'll milk any scrap of attention. Correct. Congratulations, you're now officially...
This woman could be one of the worst pedophiles in America. So this is Sierra Robertson. She is from the Seattle area. And recently authorities in Washington received a tip from an online chat service. And the contents of that tip were disturbing to say the least. Sierra, who worked as an after-school STEM instructor, which yes, meant she worked directly with children, was chatting with men online about how much she loved to sexually abuse babies. These chats also revealed the fact that Sierra had been trading CSAM or CP with other pedophiles online. And in the chats, she actually talked about how she preferred to molest babies because they essentially couldn't defend themselves. She also told these other pedophiles in these chats that she couldn't wait to have children of her own so that she could go on to molest them too. Now, this case is somewhat unique because we don't really see female pedophiles of this caliber. Usually when you see a news story like this, it's about a teacher who took advantage of a student. And I've covered many stories like this over the years, but this one is different because it's just so incredibly disturbing. Now, Sierra's bond was pretty high after she was initially arrested, but that bond was reduced to just $50,000, and she was able to pay that, and now Sierra is out of jail and just at her home. I'm going to keep following and reporting on this story because these, once again, are the people that are just out there. These are the people that are around you at all times. And people like this are drawn to positions where they're put with children, working with children, because they know that they have an extensive bank of children to draw from. And it's unknown at this point if she actually has abused any children. All those details are still sealed and under wraps. But I'm going to continue to report on this story because these issues are important to keep talking about, and it's important to expose these people. We do not have harsh enough penalties for individuals like this in America, and only through raising awareness can we hopefully change something in the future. This woman could be one.
Never meaning to send beauty I'd always missed with these eyes before. Just what the truth is, I can't say anymore, 'cause 'cause I love you. Yes, I love
TessaTNT. Is it a Slovene? Flesh pedestrian? Oh. I'm going in the dark. What is it? Oh, I hope you didn't leave your front door open. Good. That could have been bad. Is that your dog? Hey Sam, where's your collar? That's your bark outside. Didn't take down the fence, the rain did.
'cause I love you. Yes, I love you.
Still have our spaces just as our ancestors always had.
Never meaning to sound.
Had very high significant security clearances. This is not just something that you can just dismiss casually with the wave of a hand. And then you had the thing that Christopher Mellon leaked out last August. It was a signal chat that he had from an unnamed individual, high level though, who confirmed to him, and Mellon put this out there, the reality of the 1953 Kingman UFO retrieval. That was
Kingman, Arizona,
an
is
event that
crazy.
Researchers have looked at for many, many years. We have believed it is true. I have believed it's true. There's pretty good research that was done on it by Ray Fowler, who's still with us, and the late Harry Drew, who's not. And here's this person confirming to Chris Mellon that that was real, and quite a bit more about the reality of a UFO UAP retrieval program. So there's that. And then we had who was it? Oh, Lou Elizondo, also making some, I think, pretty powerful statements, both in his book Imminent as well as to Congress under oath about the reality of UAP retrieval programs, and the fact that Elizondo confirmed to Representative Burleson that yes, the CIA did twice stop the transfer of alien tech to the OSAP program from Lockheed. Those are three powerful statements from people all who have had senior positions within the Department of Defense. So, you get these statements out there, and you really have only one of two options, it seems to me. You can say, well, they're all doing disinformation, they're all lying. Well, I don't think that's the case. I don't think any of them are lying. I think they're all telling the truth. And that's the other option, is to believe them and then to recognize, all right, so what's going on here? Never in the history of this phenomenon have we had three individuals of that stature in the course of 1 year to make such potent statements on the reality of acquisition of alien tech. I don't think we've ever had anything like that. So we're in a place where there are some seriously important bombshells dropped, and it seems like they're happening more and more frequently now. had
This is after he dumped it there?
All of these videos are AI, except for maybe the last one. Let me know what you think. But you guys are not ready for what's coming next.
What
Because,
the heck?
look, let me show you some more, right? It's getting harder and harder to tell what is real and what is not real. Going into the end of 2025, 2026, you guys will have no idea what's real anymore. I'm truly convinced. They're even doing this with celebrities, Michael Jackson, Jake Paul. Watch.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Michael Jackson stuff recently.
Why would I tell you? No. You play 11 Okay, yes. What's up, everybody? It's Mike, and tonight we're giving you the smoothest vibe in the game. This is our brand new Smooth Berry Thrillers in.
I'm bringing the heat with Mamba Men.
Cool, clean, and clutch.
Just like we like it.
All right, I'm going to show you how to do the perfect everyday glam. First step, blush.
The yogurt shop murders have
All of these videos are AI, except for maybe the last one. Let me know what you think. But you guys are not ready for what's coming next.
I was watching him put on makeup.
Everyday glam. First step, blush. Just grab a ton of it, swirl it around, boom, right on there. If your face doesn't look like you just ran a marathon in the desert, you're not doing it right. So I'm going to show you how I get these curls looking fresh. And yes, we are doing it with the new sparkly pink set. Here's the curl cream I swear by. I take about that much, melt it in my hands, and then just work it through while the hair is still damp. Try to
All of these videos are
The yogurt shop murders have finally been solved, but I don't think most people realize how crazy this story is. The night of December 6th, 1991 began as any other Friday night in Austin, Texas. In a little strip mall was a frozen yogurt shop called I Can't Believe It's Yogurt, and the two young employees inside began closing up the shop around 11 p.m. 17-year-old Eliza Thomas and 17-year-old Jennifer Harbison both attended Lanier High School, where Jennifer was a track star and Eliza dreamed of becoming a veterinarian after graduation. Inside the yogurt shop with them was Jennifer's sister, 15-year-old Sarah Harbison, who was a cheerleader at Lanier High School, and Sarah's best friend Amy Ayers, who was 13 and a huge fan of George Strait. Sarah and Amy had been hanging out at the nearby mall, and about 10 o'clock they walked down to the little yogurt shop to where Sarah's sister, Jennifer, was working. Sarah and Amy were just hanging out inside the shop, waiting for Eliza and Jennifer to finish closing up so that they could get a ride home with Jennifer. But something terrible happened inside that yogurt shop, and none of these four girls made it home. Around midnight, a patrolling officer noticed smoke coming from the strip mall, and soon police and firemen responded to a fire at the yogurt shop. They didn't know that anyone was inside until after the fire was extinguished, and they discovered four badly burned bodies. 3 of them were unrecognizable. Only Amy was not burned beyond recognition. Police quickly tried to discover what could have possibly happened here. A couple came forward who left the yogurt shop shortly before 11, and they told police that they'd noticed 2 men sitting at a table who were acting oddly. One went to use the bathroom, and it's speculated that he may have propped the back door open for them to leave out the front and then circle around and come back in through the back. But investigators also speculated that someone could have just walked in the front door with the intent to rob it. However it happened, they did a lot more than rob the store. And what they did to these girls was horrific. The 4 girls had been taken to the back of the store and forced to completely undress. The 3 older girls were found together in the back storage room, piled up together, with their hands bound behind their backs with their own underwear. And the youngest, Amy, was found about 10 feet away outside the storage room. She was laying on her stomach with her arms stretched out, as if she had been reaching towards the other girls. It is known for sure that Amy was SA'd, and very likely that the other girls were as well. And then all 4 girls had been shot, execution style, to the back of the head. Investigators believed that there had to be more than one assailant because it was discovered that 2 different weapons had been used. And it seems afterwards the killers went up front and they gathered napkins and paper plates and other flammable materials from the front of the store, piled it up around the girls, then doused it all in lighter fluid and set the store on fire in an attempt to destroy all of the evidence. And unfortunately, it mostly worked. But the brutal quadruple murder of these 4 beautiful girls really rocked the city of Austin, and it shattered everyone's sense of security. And police were aggressively seeking their killers. The first real lead in the case came only 8 days later, when 16-year-old Maurice Pierce was picked up by police at the North Cross Mall, the mall by the yogurt shop, the same one that Sarah and Amy had been hanging out at earlier that night. Maurice was found carrying a pistol, a .22, the same type of weapon as one of the weapons used in this crime. Maurice also fit the criminal profile put out by the investigators. So the 16-year-old was interrogated. And apparently in the course of that, he told police that his weapon was the one used in that crime. But he also insisted that he did not do it. He had loaned it to a friend. And Maurice named 15-year-old Forrest Wellborn. So the cops strapped Maurice with a wire and told him to go meet with his buddy and talk about the crime. And Maurice tried. But it was noted in the police report that, quote, it was obvious to everyone that Pierce was trying to force the issue on Wellborn, who had no idea what Pierce was talking about. But they still brought Forrest Wellborn in. He was questioned, and he named 2 other friends, Michael Scott and Robert Springsteen. But Forrest Wellborn passed a polygraph test, and it seems that the bullets that they were able to retrieve from the autopsies were too damaged to be matched to the weapon. So because of the lack of evidence, the police ruled them out and they let them go. Investigators turned their focus to other suspects. They spent some time chasing down some so-called Satanists, a group locally known as the People in Black. In February 1992, they arrested one member named Laura Green. She was arrested on suspicion of stealing 4 tombstones, but they also questioned her for the yogurt shop murders. But she was eventually ruled out. And then in October 1992, the Mexican government triumphantly announced they had arrested 3 men from a biker gang, and one of them confessed to the yogurt shop murders. But shortly after, the man recanted his confession and claimed the Mexican authorities had forced him to confess by means of torture. He claimed they tied a plastic bag over his head until he nearly suffocated and also threatened to harm his family if he didn't confess. And eventually he was ruled out as the perpetrator of the crime. The police ran through other suspects as well. But by 1996, the city of Austin was pretty disgusted by the lack of progress in the case. So they assigned a new lead investigator who began to review the hefty files on the 4 girls. And he became interested in the statements made by Maurice Pierce and his 3 friends. So in September 1999, he reached out.
Oh. Come on, I didn't touch anything. Man, are you serious? This is so frustrating.
Not to Maurice Pierce, who he believed was the ringleader of the group, but to Michael Scott, who they suspected was the weak link in the 4 friends. So Michael Scott was intensely interrogated for over a week before he confessed. But what's alarming about this is that a police video of this confession came out. In it, one officer can be seen whipping out a supposedly unloaded weapon from his waistband and pressing it to Michael Scott's head right before he blurted out that he did it. But in the police's eyes, a coerced confession is still a confession. And it didn't take long for the other 3 men to be brought in and also intensely interrogated. And by using the same methods, they got another confession, this time from Robert Springsteen. But Maurice Pierce and Forrest Wellborn didn't give in to the pressure, and they did not confess. And so their charges were eventually dropped due to lack of evidence. But these other 2 men, who both were originally named by Forrest Wellborn, was recorded in the police record as not having a clue as to what was going on, were the only 2 out of the 4 who had to stand trial, even though they also had no evidence against them. But the prosecution went into every horrific detail of what happened to those young girls. They also detailed the way the 2 men could have committed it. No, there was no physical evidence against them, only speculation. The prosecutor's theory, in the words of their own confessions, the 2 men were convicted. Michael Scott was sentenced to life in prison, and Robert Springsteen was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Both of them were innocent. But eventually, through a long series of appeals, their convictions were overturned. But the prosecutor was still trying to retry them in 2009 when there was a new DNA technology introduced called YSTR testing. That's an interesting subject by itself. And though there was little to no evidence left in the yogurt shop due to the fire, there were 2 important pieces that remained. One was a spent bullet casing found in a drain, and the other was a swab of unknown male DNA that had been found in Amy Ayers. And using that new technology, it was determined that the DNA did not match Michael Scott or Robert Springsteen. After 10 years in prison, the 2 innocent men finally got to walk free After their release, however, the case once again went cold until just a few days ago. On September 26th, it was announced that the DNA in the yogurt shop murders had finally been matched, and it identified a man named Robert Eugene Brashers. But both oddly and unfortunately, Robert Brashers is dead. He died in 1999, the same year that the innocent men were arrested. Robert Brashers died by his own hand in a standoff with police at a Super 8 motel in Kennett, Missouri. Y'all, when I realized he traced back to Missouri, I went, can't catch a break. But since the recent advancements in IgG technology, which is investigative genetic genealogy, Robert Brashers has also been linked to at least 7 other murders in Missouri, South Carolina, and Texas. And during this man's life, he was never a suspect in any of these crimes. It really is unfortunate to me how often these big breaks in the cold cases always seem to lead to dead men, especially in cases like this, where it is still believed that there was more than one person responsible. And now we're too late. Robert Brashers isn't around to tell us who else was involved or why they did such a terrible thing to 4 innocent girls. But I am glad.
Loving vibration. So the loving vibration.
The yogurt shop murders have finally been solved, but I don't think most people realize how crazy this.
We're gonna do that again.
Love. So the loving vibration is something I learned when I went to Venus. So the Venusians are training us in the program to use these love energy vibrations, and we use them. Once we started to use them, in the early days we weren't aware of them or didn't use them the way we're using them now, but as we're using them now, we're extremely more effective in our forces.
Would you say that maybe we're being encoded in a way?
There is definitely encoding going on. There's technologies that are used, nanoparticles that come in and work with us, not as we think of now. So here in our reality, we hear of nanoparticles and we think, oh, that's evil and stuff like that. And they're, looks like anything, it can be used for evil purposes. But for us, it's definitely positive. They help us think faster. They help us heal faster. They help us get bigger. There's lots of different things that nanoparticles do that are very, very positive.
Have you noticed that year by year, day by day, that you're getting that information back?
Yes.
That you're starting to recall?
Yes.
Total recall.
The total recall is definitely accelerating.
It is.
I'm doing every day. There's more information coming through.
Mhm.
I mean, the regression I had here, Gaia, was absolutely amazing. It was mind blowing for me.
What else did you?
A missionary that I knew in Tennessee, Elder Santos, his cousin was the three-titty chick. Wow, what an honor.
Call from the session.
Well, I remember actually going to the moon base. So there is a moon base. It's hollow. Yep. It's artificial structure. It's come from another part of the galaxy, transporting other ET races here. So my memories are that we flew there. Now, the transportation was interesting at the time. So around 9 to 10 years old, I remember going out to the moon base, and that was to expose us to other ET races. We'd already had holograms we looked at. We'd seen them in 2D movies. We talked about it. We described what they're like. So now we're actually going to interact with them. So the transportation at the time was super high tech. There was not like we see the rockets, blasting off.
Right.
We were catapulted it's like a tube, and we were shot through this tube, and we traveled to the moon. And there was no propulsion. We just drifted out, caught the gravity. We were slingshotted from the gravity of Earth to the gravity of the moon. We hooked it and then came in. We landed on the far side of the moon. We came into a base where the doors opened. We went inside. Now, once we're inside, that's when things got interesting. That's when we started to have our integration. Now, we'd already had a little bit of integration with little grays. Little grays had come in. We'd learned more telepathy from them, some other skills that they taught us. How to work with the looking glass technology and so forth. Now we're actually going to work with big grays, the large grays. So the large grays are, I look at the little grays as basically being cloned little slaves, unfortunately. And they basically do whatever they're told to do. The large grays are thinkers. They're the ones that are proactive, have free will, like we have free will, and they're working with us. So they were kind of standoffish to us because, we're not advanced. So when we work with them, it was pretty huff. They were very huff with us, very gruff, and that's the way it was. Really, all the different ETs that we saw in there, and I saw many different types. They usually had their own areas inside there. We had our own area. Over time, we started to integrate with them more and more and more. There's large cities inside the moon, and different size cities throughout the moon. So you travel to each one of them, but normally only on invite, because there's ET races that have their own little areas in there. That's the same, as I would learn later, it is in many of the planets.
Like
around
little
our
different
system.
countries inside.
Oh, excellent way to describe it. Yeah. So there's different countries, and ETs have their countries, and you're maybe invited to their country to train with them or interact with them. Sometimes we share information with them, but more often they share information with us. At least at that time frame, from 12 to like 17. I remember going back and forth from bases in dumb bases in the U.S. and back and forth. So I never really had much interaction once I turned 3 and 4 years old with the surface anymore. All I remember is just doing underground bases, but those bases were like massive cities sometimes that we see, on the surface. Unbelievable. The loving vibration.
I'm not going to try and scaremonger everyone, but this is just a genuine thing that I just want as many people prepared as possible, right? For those of you that are not prepared for what is potentially on the horizon, whether that be power outages, massive geomagnetic storms, government collapses, things of that nature, I want as many people to be prepared as possible. So, number one, get yourself some foraging books. Learn plant and mushroom IDing, okay? Learn how to gather your own food out in the wild, right? Get yourself solar chargers, things of that nature that you can stash power at free will and portable. Get yourself a bug out bag. If you don't know what that is, look into it and start gathering those pieces as well to help you. Get yourself gravity filters, lifesaver straws, things of that nature, and make sure you get yourself med kits, things that you can just grab and take on the go. Get yourself things like a crossbow. It's not illegal to have crossbows in the UK, or air rifles in case you need to hunt for anything to keep yourself going or your family members fed and warm. Right? Learn how to build fires out in the wild. Learn how to navigate the natural world as it is to gather all sorts of resources that you could use in a moment of crisis, right? Survival books. Get yourself some survival books. Get, again, foraging books, things of that nature. Learn to navigate the natural world through every season, because every season, although come winter and things of that nature where it looks like things die off, things don't die off. There is still food around for you to gather and find. So you need to learn the natural world, get connected, and make yourself prepared for what's potentially around the corner so you can hold out, all right? So general cause for concern, but I just want to make sure everyone is in a good place, ready for what could potentially happen, all right? So think about that. Also, big gas cans, if you can get like the military jerry cans where you can fill up with fuel and things of that nature. Big water cans as well, so you can kind of fill up from ponds and streams and stuff as well. So yeah, get prepared. I'm not going to try and scaremonger everyone.
If this guy is saying this, like, this guy is pretty down to earth, legit, very smart, intelligent, like, that's pretty scary that he's on this level as well. Like, I don't know. Feels like there's some bad stuff on the horizon for sure.
Nearly 13,000 years ago, planet Earth was plunged into a massive ice age, and scientists have never really understood exactly why. There's loads of theories. They think they found out now why. Listen to this, guys, and also it could happen again at any point.
13,000 years ago, the Earth's climate flipped in an instant. Europe and the North Atlantic plunged back into ice age conditions during what scientists call the Younger Dryas. For decades, no one has agreed on what caused this sudden freeze. Some argued it was a catastrophic flood of meltwater. Others pointed to a comet strike. In 2013, a strange clue emerged from the Greenland ice sheet. A sharp spike in platinum, a metal rarely found in Earth's crust. At first, researchers thought it had to be a meteor, but the story didn't add up. No crater, no impact debris, and the timing was off. A new study has gone back to the evidence, testing volcanic deposits from Germany's Lacher Z eruption, which occurred at almost the same time. The chemistry didn't match. That eruption wasn't the source, but the platinum anomaly is real, and its signature is strikingly similar to material from volcanic gas plumes. That points north, to Iceland, where subglacial fissure eruptions can last for years. Unlike explosive blasts that leave ash across continents, these eruptions vent volatile gases rich in metals like platinum. Those gases could ride the winds, settle into Greenland's snow, and leave behind the decade-long platinum signal now visible in the ice. The key detail is timing. The big sulfur spike that marks the start of the Younger Dryas happens first, driving rapid cooling. The platinum spike comes about 45 years later. That means the platinum event wasn't the trigger. Instead, it was another eruption, layered into a century of extreme volcanic activity. Step by step, the mystery shifts away from cosmic impact and toward Earth's own restless geology. The Greenland cores preserve the story. Sulfur, mercury, platinum, each pointing to volcanoes as the main suspects in the Younger Dryas drama. To this day, the platinum anomaly is best explained not by a meteor from space, but by a long Icelandic eruption beneath ice and sea.
So it was a massive eruption, potentially around Iceland, Greenland. Jesus Christ. And that could literally happen at any point and plunge our whole planet into another ice age, guys. That is crazy. Nearly 13...
Aliens are going to be super confused when they show up threatening to overthrow our leaders, and we're all stoked and offer to help. So gay people are gay because they were born that way. But trans people aren't their sex even though they were born that way. Got it. Okay, it's been 3 years. Shouldn't all of us unvaccinated be dead by now? Yeah. So we live in a world where a kid can't pretend to be an Indian, but a grown man can pretend to be a woman? Maybe telling everyone to stop fat shaming wasn't the best way to stop obesity. If you say Palestinians deserve a homeland just for themselves, you're woke. But if you say white people deserve a homeland just for themselves, you're racist? If white people are so awful, why do you keep moving to their neighborhoods? Aliens are gonna be...
You are now just about to leave Hästdalen and this exciting site of the exciting phenomena. What is your impression?
Well, I'm impressed by two things. One is the dedication of the people here that are doing this tremendously fine work, and I'm impressed with Hästdalen itself, because Hästdalen is really a UFO laboratory. It's a place where things are happening and where things can be studied. And I will look forward very much to hearing everything that happens here, and I want you to keep in close touch with me in this.
How would you put Hästdalen on an international scale relating to what's happening elsewhere in the world?
Yes, I was saying that Hästdalen is a laboratory, and of course the laboratory needs equipment and things of that sort. And so I would say, without fear of exaggeration, that Hästdalen has had the best equipment and the best period of operation, of observation of the UFO phenomenon any place in the world. Because while there have been other sightings in other parts of the world, there's not been this amount of equipment brought to bear on that. And that is the important thing, having the magnetometers, the radars, the various cameras, and then staying here for a length of time to do all that. No, there's nothing that compares to Hästdalen. This is by far the best, and that's why I came here.
This is the chance for ufology, or one of the bigger chances for
this is a big chance, very big
breakthrough.
chance. This could be whether it is something paranormal or from out of space, or whether it is a natural phenomenon, whatever it turns out to be, it's terribly important.
You are now just about to leave Hästdalen.
This is going to blow your mind. Lockheed Martin has invented a technology for planes that allows the plane to literally change shape, grow, change color, charge itself without any wires, and also potentially fly autonomously. which for us sounds a lot like what we perceive to be UFOs. They've developed a technology called the skin of an aircraft, and it's not like your traditional paint job that's a protective layer over the plane. This acts like a living organism, and it can literally allow the plane to change shape on demand. It's more of a muscular material. So what happens is the plane has an intuitive ability to sense when the plane needs to change shape. So imagine it'd be like if you had a couch that sensed that you needed a nap, and so it changed into a recliner. This is all possible because of the plane's advanced sensors and data flow that are built into the skin using
No way. Giddy up.
no wires. It is because of this advanced technology that the plane is also able to change color in seconds and also potentially fly autonomously. They believe these planes will fly in packs and are smart enough to communicate and learn from each other while mid-flight. So next time you're out and you think you're seeing UFOs, you might just be seeing Lockheed Martin testing out this new technology. Also, if they're announcing this
Yeah, but what about past events?
Technology to the public, it makes you wonder what type of technology is out there being used by the government right now. This is going to...
Mr. President, would you like anything before the second act begins?
Yeah, I would love a Diet Coke, please.
And I will have a birch beer.
She'll have a Diet Birch beer. Thank you.
Oh, honey, by the way, I almost forgot. Congratulations on winning the Civil War.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it had some ups and downs, some peaks and valleys, but I'd say all in all, as wars go, I think it went pretty well.
That's great.
Yeah. You know, I ran into Ulysses today.
How is he?
He's doing very well.
You know, we should have him and Charlotte S. Grant over for dinner sometime.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Oh, and I heard from Becky, who heard from Gloria, that the British are going to invade again.
Really?
Yes, Gloria heard it at her bridge club.
At her bridge club?
Yeah, you might want to think about attacking them or something.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about that, Mary.
Well, you weren't really worried about the South seceding from the Union either, and look what happened there.
I was worried about that. That's all I... Oh!
Sic Semper Tyrannis!
Ow! What does that mean? What is that, a phone book?
Sic Semper Tyrannis!
Security!
Hey, what's the problem over here?
This guy just wandered in and he hit me in the head with a phone book.
Hey, is that true?
Why don't you stay out of it?
What did you say to me?
Nothing.
Get out of the theater!
Make me.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Mr. President. Everything okay?
My head hurts.
All right, well, enjoy the show, okay? Let me know if you need anything.
Gosh.
Well, that was interesting. You know, you shouldn't just write off what Gloria has to say. She has a knack for these sorts of things.
I'm not going to invade England, Mary.
Well, just think about it.
I'm not going to think about it. All right, can we change the subject? How are you enjoying the play?
I like plays.
I know you do.
Oh, by the way, are we still going to go to the Wagners for dinner tomorrow evening?
That's tomorrow evening?
I don't even know why I tell you anything, Abe. You know, you'd forget your own butthole if it wasn't glued to the back of your...
Mary, language. Jeez. Oh!
Sic Semper Tyrannis!
Oh, what is that, an orange? Security!
What? Hey, I told you to...
Oranges really hurt.
I told you so.
You told me what?
I told you last year.
You told me last year some guy was going to hit me in the head with an orange?
Well, obviously you don't...
Sic Semper Tyrannis!
Hey! Hey! Security!
Hey, get out of here! Jeez, douchebag!
That man is a troublemaker.
He threw my hat away.
Forget about it, Abe.
But I always want to wear that hat now.
Forget about the hat, Abraham.
But I want that to be my thing, I told you.
Well, you still have the beard, okay? That's good enough. Just be quiet and relax, and let's watch the rest of the play, okay?
Now that guy's wearing my hat.
What are you doing? You look like a crazy person.
I don't know if you've noticed, Mary, but there's a man who's been assaulting me lately.
Eat shoe, Tyler!
No. Ow! Ow! Security!
Hey, buddy! I thought I told you to get out of the theater!
I got out of of the theater, then I came back in the theater.
I see you got back in the theater. You're gonna march your ass right back out of the theater.
I'm gonna march out of this theater, then come back with a gun and shoot this guy in the head.
You don't got the
nuts to you.
Get the out of the theater.
Don't stay at a random Airbnb. Story time. So Jason was 22, driving home from college on Thanksgiving break, and he was really excited to see his family because it had been a while since he got to go home. So 12 hours into his drive, Jason is getting really tired. He can barely keep his eyes open. He's starting to doze off, getting really hungry and just sore, and he needs to get out and take a break. Jason takes out his phone, but he has no signal. He can't use GPS, he can't Google anything. So he drives for a few more minutes, and that's when he sees this big red sign that reads Airbnb up in 24 hours. Turn right. He just pulls up and sees this big, beautiful house. So he walks up to the front door and knocks, and the old woman answers and says, "Are you looking for a room?" He said, "Yeah." She said, "Come on in." But when Jason got inside the house, it didn't look as nice as the outside. It was more deteriorated, mold is torn up. But he really didn't have an option because he'd been driving for so long, so either he would stay here and get some sleep or get back on the road and get in a wreck. So he chose to stay. The old woman hobbles down the creaky hallway, and Jason goes into his room and gets ready to take a shower. So he goes in the bathroom and starts unloading his bags, and that's when he sees bloody razors on the sink. Jason just stands there like, "What? They don't even clean these rooms? Ew, I'm not taking a shower in here." And then walk back into the bedroom and pull the covers back, and he'd seen bugs in the bed, roaches and bed bugs everywhere, or pubic hairs all over the pillows, the sheets, the covers. Jason took his big blanket and he laid it on the floor. He didn't want to get on that nasty bed. A couple hours later, he starts feeling this tickling motion on his feet. So he kind of wakes up half out of it and thinks, "I bet there's bugs on my feet." So he starts kicking around, hoping he kicked them off, but he's so tired he can't get up to check. He just falls back asleep. He even woke up laughing at one point because something was tickling his feet so much. He starts dreaming about walking around in water.
Someday I will be rid of Century Stink and I'll have some actual good internet. Come on. Cheese and crackers. What's a girl gotta do?
His feet feel so wet in the dream and gooey and sticky. So when Jason finally wakes up and opens his eyes, that's where he sees this big, tall, burly, bald man with a huge beard sticking his tongue between his toes. This man was a lot older than Jason, probably in his mid-late 70s, down on all fours, no shirt on, had Jason's whole foot in his mouth. So Jason kicks him in the face and jumps up, and the guy pushes him back down on the floor and says, "Let me suck on them old toes, boy." Grabbed his phone and took off running through the house. There was so much slobber on his feet that when he stood up and took off running on the hardwood floors, he almost slid down. That was how long they had been sucking on his feet. So Jason's running throughout the house with his phone trying to find a way out, and these people are chasing him, and they chase him right on out the door. And when he turns around, he hears the old woman screaming, "He's getting away, get him." So he runs out to the truck, cranks it up, and leaves. They're throwing bricks, bats, everything they can at his back glass trying to get him to stop. So as Jason's coming down the driveway, he can see all these people running out the house behind him, like chasing him. Jason said his heart was beating out of his chest the whole way down that driveway because he just knew they were going to start shooting. There, Jason didn't stop anymore. He drove straight to his mom's house, and when he got there, he told his mom what happened. His mama said, "Are you crazy? You stopped at some random house that you thought was an Airbnb? You could have been killed." Jason got home and unpacked his bag. Every sock he had was gone. They stole all his socks. There are 3 Polaroids. And in all 3 pictures, there are these 2 big burly men, and they are sucking and licking on Jason's toes while he's asleep. In one of the pics, these men had goated his feet, like they had laid their old long on his feet. In one picture, a man is doing something really sick to Jason's feet that I can't say on here. There was so much saliva and stuff stuck to his skin. When I tell you Jason scrubbed his feet for days after that, Jason has been back by that road several times and there's no sign there, so he doesn't know exactly which road he went down or how to get back to that house. "Let me suck on them old toes, boy." Don't stay at a random Airbnb.
Governments, corporations, and intelligence contractors run massive nowcasting and forecasting systems. They ingest real-time data, social media, economic flows, satellite feeds, even sentiment analysis. This lets them model probabilities of public reaction before they even take an action. So when they roll out a policy or narrative, they are not guessing. They already have a curve of how it's likely to land. And that makes the rest of us feel outplayed because they are effectively playing chess while we're playing checkers. Narrative operations are now algorithmic. An error, a scandal, a mishap, they can be reframed in hours. Bots push new hashtags, articles flood search results, influencers seeded ahead of time to pivot the conversation. That's why you see the fix happen before you've even processed the problem. It's no magic. It's prearranged rapid response capacity fueled by machine learning.
Jeez.
So if you know how people will react to an event because you've modeled their psychology, demographics, and networks, you can design the event to funnel.
Well, dang it. Well, if you want to, you can go back and check that out. But yeah, we're at the end of our time, boys and girls. So, thank you so much once again for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies and letting me entertain you. I hope the internet being shiza didn't perturb you too much. Is that the word? Thank you to all my friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook and wherever else you may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight or watching if you were able to watch. I had a wonderful time and I can't wait to do it again. I'm shooting for Wednesday, Hump Day, and we can do Am I the Asshole and different things like that. Don't forget, we're all in this together. Together we can make the world a bit better, and together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Please, if you have the means, ability, or initiative, if you believe in what I'm doing, or you are even slightly entertained, or just enjoy our time hanging out together on the airwaves, please sling or fling me some green. That way I can keep this mothership afloat, because it costs a lot of gas money. And maybe we can get some good and decent internet. Come on. Alright, night night, love and light. Take care of my yous. You can cash at me at TessaTNT. PayPal me at TessaTNT. Send a check. P.O. Box 663, Bethel, Colorado 81122. Or Venmo at Tessa-Thomas-Peterson. Night and night, love and light. Take care of my yous.